Ho, ho, ho.
Oops. Go ahead.
Okay. You don't know. That's just never mind. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 331 of the Fake Nerd Podcast. You're probably wondering, but if Ben is entering the show, how come he's not doing a silly little bit? How come he's not opening up with this Optimus Prime voice and talking about how the Beast Wars and Transformers are the same thing or whatever? How come he's just talking normally? Well, technical difficulties decided to spring up and whoopsie.
I am so sorry. I don't know why I just spaced and be like, oh shit, I bring us back. I've only been doing this for 2 years.
You still could have done the bit.
You still could have done the bit. I was looking forward to the bit.
All right. I'll do the bit.
Do the bit.
All right, fine. Before time began, there was the Cube.
Nope.
In our centuries and millennia-long war against the Decepticons, two factions, both from the Autobots and the Decepticons, splintered off from the war and left Cybertron to find energon deposits elsewhere in the galaxy. Unfortunately, they met, they fought, and they crashed. We do not know where they are, but we will search for them. The Maximals are being led by my subordinate, Optimus Primal, and they lead the charge for freedom and peace among the galaxy, while one taking the name of Megatron just wants to rule and enslave all. While our war continues here on Cybertron, the Beast Wars rage elsewhere. Or at least that's how it should have happened.
It raged all right.
What a fan fiction you spun there, Ben.
Thank you.
What you spun a tale. You mixed all the Transformers all into one continuity.
Thank you. I mean, it kind of made sense when I was a kid. I mean, we'll talk about our, at least my nostalgia for Beast Wars later on in the review, because we're reviewing Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. We're talking about my book club I picked, which is Beast Wars: The Gathering. A lot of Transformers, a lot of beasts, a lot of stuff thrown in. But Brandon, are there links down below?
There are indeed links. First,
who are we?
Oh,
who is this podcast? What's happening?
I don't know who's this podcast. Well, that person down below me is Ryan Eliopoulos.
Up to a great start.
Hey, I thought when you were going to go before time began, there was the transwarp device. I was like, oh yeah, it does not sound as good, but you just went with the cube, and it does sound good.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if it's just my nostalgia for the original Transformer movie, but the cube sounds better than the transwarp key. And of course, Brandon T. McClure.
Hello, I am here too.
You are, and we are sans Sparks Witty today. He is on a little vacation in a cabin somewhere. I don't know where.
He's in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah, it's a cabin in the woods. No monsters, no cell reception.
That we know of. We don't know if there's... He can't tell us.
That's true. I guess I'll find out if he comes home or not.
That's true.
Stay away from all the spooky things in the bottom of the basement.
Right. Hello, guys. Hi. We're off to a great start, but we got a fun show for you guys. I hope everyone is good. Hope everyone has had a good week. We certainly had a week. The WGA strike is linked below. As always, we will once again be talking about it in our news this week, but it is linked below. But as far as we are concerned, a new Basement Arcade pause menu episode came out. Ben, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So while I was at SoCal Gaming Expo, just like the episode beforehand where I spoke to a game developer, I spoke to another game developer who decided to make his own game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And not only did he make a game that could possibly run on an NES, it actually does, because he built and manufactured physical cartridges that you can go and buy and plug in to your NES. I sat down and talked with Nick Munson. He is the gentleman behind Monsoon Studios, and we talked about his game Copper Jacket. We talked about how he was able to essentially make a game for a system that's 30 plus years old, and not just make a game for a system, but make a physical cartridge for it. Because obviously people have made games that are in the style of older games, like 8-bit games, the NES, the Sega Master System, the Super Nintendo, but they're all modern consoles. He went the extra mile and said, no, I'm going to make a game for the system that works with this system, and I think that's rad.
That's really cool. So that's linked below in both audio and video formats, as well as our cinephiles, guys, Across the Spider-Verse was our last week's review. Sparks worked tirelessly to get that movie into the cinephile, so it is there if you want to check it out, independently of the episode that we did for it.
Flip.
Yeah. So I'll say this one next. So Conversation, my solo show that I do where I talk to podcasters about fandom, that is also linked below. That is only audio. That one, the latest episode that came out last week was with Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. Great episode, really fun. Really enjoyed doing it. That's linked below. This coming week, keeping the Indiana Jones train rolling on the Fickner Family podcasts, is my discussion with our friend of the podcast, friend we all know, Ken Knapsack.
Woo!
This was a last minute decision that I made when I saw his tweet. Hey, I always say that Indiana Jones is my favorite cinematic hero, as my favorite cinematic character of all time, and I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about it on Conversation? So we got that. So we got that recorded, and it'll be the next episode because I want to get it out before Dial of Destiny. So that's going to be a really fun time. We talk about Indiana Jones, shelf fandom, which is what I'm calling like, hey, we have all got things where we're big fans of, but there's no new things of it. So we put it in a box and put it on our shelf, and we wait for the next thing to come out, and then we take it off the shelf and we look at it. Kind of what it feels like to be in that kind of fandom and things like that. Really good discussion. It's my longest episode. I hope you guys enjoy it, and that is all part of kind of what I'm sure everyone has realized I'm doing is doing Indiana Jones episodes on most of our shows. Wherever I can find a way to do it, I have figured out a way to do an Indiana Jones specific episode, and that is just part of that. So I look forward to that. Finally, this is not linked below, but this is important to say because this is our guys. Tomorrow, as we are recording this in a couple of hours, tomorrow, it is our 7th anniversary as a podcast. 7th anniversary. We started this podcast in 2016. We put our first episode out controversially on June 12th.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that whole freaking God.
We don't need to go into it, but yes.
No, we don't. I just remember, and I just get flashbacks because both of us said, "Okay, we'll do it on this day." And then he says this day, and then we decide, "Screw, we're just going to do it on this day," and then that whole thing happened.
The events leading up to the first episode of this podcast have been documented, so you can find them if you like. So our anniversary special will be up tomorrow. So please check that out. It's our 7th anniversary. We do something special this time. We do a D&D campaign. We've talked about it before. Our good friend Pi decides to is our DM, and it's my first D&D campaign that I've ever done, and it was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. Please check it out when it drops tomorrow.
It's a nice little one shot.
Yeah.
Maybe more in the future if time allows.
I would like there to be, but yes, if time allows.
I saved that character sheet. I'm not getting rid of it.
It's on D&D Beyond.
Yeah, it's always there, apparently.
I'm still saving it.
I printed it out and I stapled it into a binder and I'm keeping it. Cool. So that's as far as the network goes. Those are some of the links to look out for and some of the links to check out in our description. There is, of course, my CBR work is linked below. A couple of things were published this week as far as like Disney remakes, and I think what was the other one? It doesn't matter. It's linked below. Check it out. And Ben, it's all Ben from here on out. So we'll talk about your OSG article in the latest OSG magazine, Old School Gamer magazine, and at the same time talk about Fusion Gaming magazine.
Right. I mentioned the OSG article last week because I did an article about a video game. It was a developer / publisher in the early 80s and in the 80s and 90s, not early 80s, but late 80s, called Absolute Entertainment. And essentially they did the exact same thing that Activision did. Whereas the guys who founded Activision used to work at Atari, they didn't like how they were being treated because they weren't given credit for their work. So they bounced from Atari and created Activision. These guys did the exact same thing from Activision. They were working at Activision. They didn't like how they were being treated. So they bounced from Activision, created their own thing called Absolute Entertainment. And kind of like with what Atari did, because there's like this, or with Activision, because there's this little rumor that the reason why they call themselves Activision is because Activision comes up first in the phone book.
I was literally literally gonna bring this anecdote up after but you just said it, yeah.
Yeah. And so with Absolute comes up before Activision in the phone book. So it's like, all right, I see what you did. It was a game of pettiness and trying to add stuff. I talk about some of the games that they were most well known for. One of their most famous games is actually the Home Improvement game for the Super Nintendo. Yeah.
You got a really good one, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the game that when you buy it CIB, you take it out and you try to look at the instruction manual. The instruction manual says real men don't need instructions. Figure it out.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the game itself is just it's a platformer. It's another action platformer that takes Tim Allen's character into like back in time. It's weird.
Weird.
Yeah. It's weird. It wasn't really that good. But there's also a game that I highlighted that I think Brandon will enjoy for Star Trek, The Next Generation on the Nintendo Entertainment System, where the game has Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Essentially, you're playing as a new recruit to the Enterprise, and Captain Jean-Luc Picard gives you certain tasks to perform, and you essentially follow his orders and do those tasks aboard the Enterprise. There's not the same task over and over again. You have different missions and different things to do, and the longer you play, the more difficult missions you get, because it's not all just like you pilot the Enterprise and go pew 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 shooty shooty. You actually do missions on the Enterprise, and you actually try to be like, hey, let's bring Commander Worf with us and Data and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's so cool. Yeah, Ryan just pulled up the instruction manual.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, unfortunately, Absolute Entertainment didn't last very long. After the 16-bit era, they unfortunately went under. So I wrote about that. And for Fusion Magazine, which I just got my copy recently, that issue cover has my review of the Super Mario Brothers movie. I wrote a review for them.
Nice. So the links where you can find the latest issues of those magazines are down below, and of course where you can subscribe to the magazine if you would like to keep subscribing to them. That's linked there. Okay. Other than that, Ben, why don't you talk about D and Dark episode 30?
Ooh, so last episode, Victor Frankenstein turned into a mind flayer. And we had a two bosses in one fight battle, where it was very difficult and things got crazy. And I don't want to. And have you guys listened to the episode yet?
Not yet. I'm behind.
All right, so Brandon hasn't, but Ryan has. Ryan, that reveal at the end of the episode.
It's good. It was a good battle. It's a lot of fun. I love one. I just love D&D battles, but two, especially, I just love just again like Dan's editing makes it just like so fun. Really good. Real good.
Yeah. So Brandon, let me know what you think when you get to the end of the episode, because when we got to the end of it, all the players were like, "What?"
I look forward to it. So that's linked below. Once again, D and Dark is always linked below. As long as there are new episodes, you can check it out. So that's all the links below, I believe. Okay, so who wants to go first? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go first for my week, if that's okay.
Please.
I only have one thing to talk about, which is why I want to go first, and that is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's a show I've talked about prior on the show. It had its final season this past week. Solid 5-season run. Honestly, very good, very funny all throughout. For those of you who don't know, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is about a Jewish woman living in late 1950s, early 1960s New York City, trying to become a stand-up comedian. And not just any stand-up comedian, but like the best stand-up comedian. And her kind of love life and trying to find the right gigs to like shoot her career up, and the story is also with her manager Susie, who is the voice of Lois from Family Guy.
Alex Bornstein.
Thank you. I knew you would know the name. Also, Mrs. Maisel is apparently one of the top contenders for Lois Lane, which I think she'd be great for. Anyway, so the season was kind of a little uneven. So there's a lot of flash forwards to further in the timeline, like 1990s, 1980s, 2000s, to kind of see where the characters end up after the season. And I don't think it's executed as well as it should be. except for one specific episode where it really clicked, which was was set in the 1990s, and it's this roast of Susie, who's now this big hotshot talent manager, and has been for many years. And it's people roasting her and telling stories of how she became such a really popular talent manager. So it is set there, but with flashbacks to to just after the show, before the show, during the show. And I thought that was a really good episode, and it was really nice because throughout the flash forwards, we knew that Mrs. Maisel, and Susie had some sort of falling out in the 80s, and we're not sure what that was. And this is when we learned what that was, and it was actually a really sweet and really poignant moment to include in the show. But outside of that, the stuff set in the 50s and the 60s is really strong. It's really funny. It's really interesting. She becomes like the first female writer on the Gordon Ford show, which is a kind of a Jay Leno Tonight Show type thing, and how she's trying to use that to get known as a stand-up comedian, and yeah, just a really good show all around. Very relatable for me because, as you all know, I'm Jewish, and her familial troubles remind me a lot of mine. Tony Shalhoub is the dad. It's a really good show. It's very funny. If you haven't checked it out, I kind of recommend that you do. It's very short, 5 seasons. I really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of sad to see it go, but I think it ended on a really strong note.
I've heard only good things. I also did hear that people didn't love the season as much, but it's still a good show no matter what.
Yeah, the final episode was exactly the note to end it on. Like you gotta end it strong, and they ended it strong.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. So that's all I got for this week. So who wants to go next?
I'll go next because I basically just have one thing. And Ben, you could probably guess what it is.
Does it start with a Z and end with Elda Tears of the Kingdom?
That's it. Correct. Yes. I'll take $200, Alex, for that answer. I'm just, I worked Tuesday to Saturday, so I'd come home and like I'd watch some YouTube or just play Zelda because like that game's just infinitely playable. It's just like I can do whatever I want, anything I want. I could build a house. I built a house. Ben, you built a house yet?
Not yet, but I know where I can build a house.
Yeah, you can build a house. There's a guy. There's frogs you find in caves, and if you kill the frogs, they give you these gems. And there's this weird. Have you found the weird Monster Brothers?
I have.
Yeah, there's some freaks, man. Like Zelda's got freaks. These are the extra freaks. And
well, there's the first one. There's Gilton from the first game, and now it's his brother in this game. So
yeah, he's a double freak, and he's like, "Yo, I want to turn into one of those things. I need you to give me those gems." So you're just giving him dozens of gems, and he's giving you like monster masks. So like you can walk into monster camps with a mask on, so you look like, and like your face is popping out. It's like cosplay, and the monster just like, is that a brother or is that Link? I don't know. They don't attack you, but they're always curious. And I'm just walking around stealing their shit. It's great. They don't like it when you steal their shit though. Man, just you can shield surf in that game. One cool thing is you can put frozen meat on the bottom of your shield. And because it has like no friction, you can actually glide infinitely until it breaks. That's just a fun little neat mechanic. Just a great game. I'm discovering something new every day. Did you know you can make music in this game, Ben? Did you see that? Did you see that TikTok I shared where the dude was making music? This game's been out for like a month, and people are discovering that you can make music a month later. I'm like, bro, this game in a year is gonna be like, this is on the Switch. It makes me excited for the future of video games. Speaking of, the only thing I really did this week was be excited about video games because from Thursday until Tuesday of this coming week is Summer Game Fest, and just so many great announcements. They're all coming out this year or next year. It's like the pandemic really effed things up, but like things are slowly starting to line up again. Xbox had a banger showcase, man, a banger showcase from beginning to end. Like all those games that they showed are also going to be on Game Pass. So I'm like, guess what? That's $15 I got to spend. That's not $600 I got to spend. Xbox is incredible. Are they making money? I don't know. They're Microsoft. They're probably doing fine. Video games, guys, they're cool. The buzz is real.
No, we're not talking about the Summer Game Fest in the news this week, but you guys will do a Basement Arcade pause menu special on them soon.
This would be a 7-hour episode. I'm gonna have to cut shit, and I don't like cutting shit, but this was a spicy.
I haven't seen everything yet, but I will tell you the amount of joy I had with a certain trailer starring a certain hedgehog had me just jump for joy.
I'll tell you, Ben, people have now been playing that game. Maybe lower your excitement.
Oh man.
Yeah. It is a 4-player Sonic game is super cool. The dog agrees. But like, you know, it's made by Sonic Team, and they literally just put out Sonic Frontiers. So like they're either crunching this game or they're pooping it out. And either way, I'm not hearing the best things about it. But could be cheap and fun. Who knows? Again, the multiplayer aspect gets me excited.
Yeah.
Right.
That's me. I just video games all week.
Ben, you want to go next?
Do
you want to go next? That's the only choice.
I'm the only one here. I'm the only one else.
Go ahead,
Optimus Primal.
Primal, whatever your name is.
Yeah, pretty much. I echo a lot with what Ryan said. While I didn't watch a lot of the Summer Games Fest stuff, I saw some of the trailers secondhand. But Zelda came up, or Zelda happened. Thus, I got lucky because I got this whole week off of work. I don't have to go back to work until Tuesday, so I've just been relaxed, just trying to take care of myself. And playing a lot of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because just like Ryan said, the game is infinitely playable. It is Game of the Year this early for a reason. I'm constant every time I try to say I'm going to do a certain mission, I get distracted. But it's not a bad distraction; it's a good distraction because I'm still doing things. Like I told myself I was going to go and help I was going to go to Eldin and go help the Gorons and do the Fire Temple. But then when I got to one of the Skyview Towers, I looked over and said, oh, hey, another Skyview Tower is just like right over there. I could just fly to it. So I did. And it was the one in Zora's Domain. I see all the sludge in Zora's Domain. I go, well, this can't stand. And for 4 hours straight, I do the entire Zora Domain mission.
Yep.
I do the entire thing. I do the water dungeon or the water temple. I get the whole thing cleared out because it's just, I know I've said it before. It's like I'm home again, but seeing this, like seeing the Zora and seeing the characters again, it's like you have this feeling was like, I gotta help my boy out. I gotta help my friends.
Oh my God. Brandon, in Breath of the Wild, there's this Zora guy named Sidon, and he's this big muscular himbo that, like, his whole thing with Link is like, we're best friends. We're best friends. We're like such best friends. And then 6 years have been like, it's like hasn't not been established about how long time has passed since the last game, but like people put together and kids of ages, it's about 6 to 8 years. There's a statue in the Zora Kingdom of Sidon riding, and then Link's on his back going, haha, and I'm like, that's his boyfriend. You cannot help me. They made a statue like that, and that's not his boyfriend.
Because I mean, not only that, because Sidon already has a deep connection with Link because his sister Mipha, who was one of the Guardians 100 years ago, because these Zora people, they can live for hundreds of years. They have a very long lifespan.
Fishy.
So because he's like, hey, you helped my sister, I'm gonna help you. They say the Zora's Domain in Breath of the Wild, so of course he's like, you're my best friend now. And then we go to the statue. It's like, oh hey, here's a statue of me and Sidon, and they put Mipha's statue all the way on the top of the mountain. It's just like, ah. And like the whole time I'm like
Sidon has like a wife girlfriend now, and even she's like, you know, like he loves me and I love him, but you know, there's just something about y'all's relationship, and I'm like, yeah, they're friends, all right.
And they were roommates.
His girlfriend noticed it,
and they were roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember I seen the TikToks where it's like, wait, you're engaged to my boyfriend? Because that's Sidon's fiance.
Yeah.
But either way, just this game is fantastic. I made it to the Great Plateau, the starting area for the first game. I went to the area. I went to to like where I woke up. I found the Yiga clan there. I think I found the burial site for the last king of Hyrule, where he was buried, because there's like a royal claymore stabbed in the ground and a stone that looked like a headstone. The game is so immersive, and it's not just the story. It's not just the stories the game tells and through the main story with you doing the main quest. It's always the stories. It's also the story that you tell as you're playing it, where you decide to go. Like, oh, I'm gonna go and do these missions over here. Or like with me, I thought I was gonna go to Death Mountain and help out the Gorons, but instead I stop everything I'm doing to help out the Zora. And I just go help them, and I do their mission. I help them out. And now my main goal, what I'm gonna try and do, is help out a village in the southeast with a pirate attack. But I'm also just trying to get shrines. I'm just trying to get stronger. I'm just trying to do all these quests and all these other side missions to get the great fairies to come out of their butts. It's just, there's so much to do, but I don't feel like I've wasted any time doing it.
Ben, did you just say to get the great fairies to come out of their butts?
Buds.
Buds.
UD.
I was like, whoa, what a wild game.
No. Flower buds. They're in giant flower buds.
No, I
that's
get you.
actually that is probably my favorite set of side quests in the game. How you upgrade your armor in the game. There's these great fairies, and you go up to them, you give them a bunch of resources, and they're like, "Hey, and they blow you kisses, and that enchants your armor." And it's like, "Oh, thanks, great fairy."
Well, later on, it gets a lot more suggestive.
No, it does. I'll keep it PG for the podcast. Yeah, but it's like, damn. But the side quests to open up the buds are this traveling group of musicians. The great fairies only like listening to their music, so they won't open up until they know they're around. So every musician is missing in the area, so you have to go find them. So all their little side quests are really fun, they're really inventive, they're very cute, and then they always play a cute little song when they're reunited. And I'm like, that's just a whole little package of side quests. Love it. Every time I find a new one, I think I found them all, but I'm like, can't wait to find where this guy is. Ooh, yes.
Real quickly, Mag is in the comments below. Ben, I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Mag is in the comments saying, here it comes. Hey gang, happy Jurassic Park Day for 30 years. Yes, today, the day that we were recording is the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park, my favorite movie of all time. So yes, happy Jurassic Park Day.
Very cool.
There's some incredible new 30th anniversary merchandise at Universal Studios, and I want all of it.
Oh yeah, I bet they're. Oh yeah, I bet they're going hard.
It's awesome. And have you seen the 30th anniversary logo? It's really cool. So it's the logo obviously, and then it's the When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth banner, but it says 30th anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I think they're doing a new like Blu-ray 4K thing. Is that real too?
They always do. I'm sure it's coming.
It looks cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
There's
I need that. I only have the DVD fridge with the first Jurassic Park. I need that Blu-ray.
I have the DVD and the Blu-ray. I will never get rid of my DVD copy because it's a really nice DVD copy when they made like really nice copies just for whatever reason. And it's the gates and they open up to reveal the DVDs.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's like a collector's item.
I'll never get rid of that.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I did. I like media wise. I just played Transformers. I played Tears of the Kingdom. I stayed up way too late playing Tears of the Kingdom. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I've been staying up way too late playing Tears of the Kingdom. Only other thing I thought was cool was I met up with Brandon over the weekend. We went and saw Transformers together, and then we went to Hollywood and we went to the Taco Bell Cantina, and I had an alcoholic Baja Blast, and it was delicious.
Amazing.
Yeah, the Hollywood Taco Bell Cantina is pretty cool. We also went to a vegan restaurant, and Ben tried his first vegan Mac Melt.
Yeah, not gonna lie, that was pretty damn good.
It's a good Mac Melt.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we get into our bread and butter then?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So let's get right into it because we got a big news week. Not a lot of trailers and then some of the smaller stuff, but I think we're going to linger on some of the smaller stuff for a bit because the first thing we're going to talk about, sad news up top, comic book writer and artist known as Ian McGinty passed away this week. He was 38 years old, which is way, way too young. So here's some of the things
that
he
should
worked
be illegal.
on.
How young that is? That's our age, basically.
Yeah, it's not too far off. So he worked on titles like Invader Zim, Adventure Time, and his creator-owned book called Welcome to Showside. Welcome to Showside had just been picked up as an animated TV series where he played the main character and he provided art for it.
Yeah.
So,
apparently he was besides being incredibly loved by everybody. Like I wasn't super familiar with his work just because I didn't read those books, but like just from the love that everybody online is pouring, like he was just like the nicest dude, the greatest dude. It's like the last tweet that he tweeted up before he passed was, "I just want to make comics with everyone." Like that's like it sounds like it's not confirmed. Like he died of like stress. Like he was like overworked to death, and he was 38. Like his output of one person said like he worked so hard, I don't know how he was still alive. And then like something like this actually happens, and it's like that's ridiculous.
So when a lot of people die, there's an outpouring on Twitter about his life and what he did and how many people he touched, and many comic creators came out and talked about how he was just constantly working, how he was just constantly grinding, constantly putting out pages, and because of this, he inadvertently launched the hashtag Comics Broke Me on Twitter, which is a hashtag where comic book writers and artists have been talking about the predatory conditions of the comic book industry. Many of them will take advantage of kind people like Ian McGinty, hardworking people like him, and abuse that passion for their own gain for very little money. You know, it kind of circles back to what we've been talking about a lot with the writer's strike, how a lot of this is it's a lot of work for very little money.
Yeah.
And so that's basically just kind of been allowing people to kind of see that the comic book industry has some problems that it needs to work out, because more people, no cause of death was given, as Ryan said, people believe is because he was stressed.
Yeah. Yeah, that comics broke me thing this week has been awful, man. Because I follow so many comic people, big and small, and all of them, especially a lot of the indie ones, are like, dude, like, none of us, this isn't our full-time job. We all have regular jobs. None of us make money doing this. And unless you're writing Batman, and then even in some cases that I read today, like, even in then cases, like, if you're smaller scale or someone of color or a woman, you're getting paid significantly less. There was one person who was like, I don't care that I'm exposing this because I don't work there anymore. But like at DC, like they were telling people this is how much you're gonna get paid, and then specifically telling someone of bigger scale you're gonna pay like 10 times more money. And it's just like, what? It's like, you can't win. And the thing about comics is, like, it is like the smallest of all these industries. It is the most hobby-centric niche industry. Like, the highest selling comic these days sells 20,000-30,000 copies. A big number one will sell 100,000 if like you're a Batman or Spider-Man, but like comics don't sell what they used to like in the 90s anymore. So like trying to break in, trying to make any money, trying to stay relevant is impossible. Like, it's truly impossible.
And, you know, this also goes back to what we've been talking about, like with the Marvel movies. Look, people who write these comics make billions of dollars for studios making movies based on these comics, but they're getting, what did Brubaker get? Like a $25,000 check?
No, he got $5,000.
Like a $5,000 check, like for the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, yeah.
Like ridiculous. With a movie that made almost $1 billion. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and no, like, hey, you'll get like 0.01% of the you know, like just anything. And like $5,000, this might seem like a lot of money to some people, but in relative to the, you know, $800 million made at the box office, or the $20 million all of the actors made, like, it's just like, it's like, what are we doing? Why don't we value people who create things, write things? It's again, it all staples back to just like, why don't we care about the people who make things?
Right. And you know, that also, you know, there's a lot of talk about oh, sorry, I wanted to talk about Substack. You know, this is why so many creators went to Substack, right? Because Substack offered them a big check up front and said, hey, come over here, do creator owned. You get to charge your prices. For someone making 40 cents a page, that sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like when all that Substack stuff was announced, like none of us begrudged the writers because like they don't get paid shit. Like I want all of my favorite people to get paid what they're doing. Like if they have to go to other companies and they have to be or they have to do a Patreon, like that is unfortunately like right now, like direct to consumer is like the way to go for so many creative outlets, because like you're not getting served by the bigger markets. Like I at this point, like the amount of streaming services and Patreons I have, like I'm spending so much money because I want to support so many people, because it's like I'd want someone to support me if I'm putting out something, you know what I mean? Like it's just like I know how hard it is, and I can't support everyone. It's really hard. It's just a hard art's hard.
It's with Jeff Lemire when he went to Substack, when he brought Black Hammer to Substack. I was like, that's great for you. I'll pick up those trades though.
Yeah, and
but that's still going to him.
Yeah. Absolutely. And as long as, specifically with comic books, right? Like comic books there is a big digital market, but as long as those things still hit physical shelves, like that is the bread and butter. Like those people want those physical comics, whether they're trades or floppies. That is why there's still a floppy market, because there is just enough incentive to keep the floppy market around. There will be one day, you know, I don't think it's going to be soon, but decades from now, like where the floppy market will go away. But like comic books are never going to go away. But like, how many comic artists are still going to be around for that kind of stuff? All right. Like, is it going to get smaller, diminishing returns where it's only Jeff Lemire and Brian Michael Bendis writing comics because they're established names and no one can break in anymore? Like
everyone else is a freelancer.
Everyone's a freelancer. Yeah. And like, and again, like so many great interviews go around. There's always ebbs and flows of things, you know, like the strike will eventually end, hopefully in favor of the writers, and like, big books will come out and like comics will have a boom. Like this always happens again, but like it's just like right now it's particularly horrible for everybody. So it's just like we really feel it.
I know this guy was mostly in the independent market, and he worked so hard because he loved doing what he did, and making making an animated show based off a comic book that you created and starring in it is incredible. It would probably put a lot of stress on him.
Yeah.
But and so I get that, but the people who work at like Image or Dark Horse, they don't get I don't expect Dark Horse or Image to give them the payday that Marvel and DC does. Marvel and DC don't have an excuse in my head because they're owned by billion-dollar companies.
Yeah. And like at this point, both I think Kevin Feige I think has a better understanding and love of comics than maybe like the Warner Brothers people, but like all comics are at this point are IP machines. Like they are the stories that we will be telling in 5 to 10 years in the movies, and that is always fine because like we will always get great comic books. It's not to say that like, oh, now that they're just IP machines, there's not going to be less effort. Like, no, there's still people who want to make comics. It's just now those people upstairs want to take your idea and not pay you for it. And we got to find a way to fix that.
Yeah. All you'll get is a special thanks in the credits. And like you said with Ed Brubaker, a $5,000 check.
And even then, like he's a lucky one. Not everyone gets that check.
Remember, so as Ryan was saying, kind of reminded me, like, there's probably a silver lining for DC in that James Gunn. James Gunn loves comic books. He put he gave John Ostrander a speaking role in the Suicide Squad, so he'll get residuals.
Yep.
Which he wouldn't, but for being the creator of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that far bigger payday for John Ostrander, which is excellent. And if you look at every single DC trailer that's released since James Gunn took over, there is always a title card with, "Hey, you like this? Read these comics."
Mm-hmm.
Every single time.
Absolutely.
And if anyone can change that system, I think it's him.
Yeah, I can. At least on the Warner Brothers side, I'm not too worried for the future because that dude loves comics and supports comics. So like, again, these things have ebbs and flows. So like, hopefully, we'll be in a better spot, in a year from now.
I hope something. It sucks that something like this had to happen, but I hope something like this actually does create the wave of change. It's tough for comic book writers; they can't go on a strike like the WGA.
No, it's a world of freelancers. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they could, I'm sure they would be on strike. But hopefully, this kind of creates the groundswell of support of like, hey, let's change this.
It's like the guy who did Berserk, Kentaro Miura, he died. He died of doing stress. Like manga artists are
the same reason.
They work hard, not harder than comics. They stress themselves more because like their culture is like work hard nonstop. And I'm like, guys, take a break, chill. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, Grayson's in the comment. Grayson's in the chat saying, I was going to say, I like the fact that James is referencing the comics. He's giving me hope.
Yes, yeah, I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's move on. Ryan, the Iron Sheik. He passed away this week at the age of 81.
Oh, man, I didn't know that. Oh, that's a shame. That dude, man, I doubt you guys followed him on Twitter, but that dude is someone who he wrote everything in all caps all the time. He had a huge feud with Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan sucks. And he just nonstop, anytime he had a chance, he would just shit all over Hulk Hogan for no good reason. So rest up. He was a great personality. Every wrestler has baggage. He probably has some bad stuff he did in the past. I don't know about any of it. I'm sure, everybody has skeletons in the closet. That dude is a crazy fun wrestler from the 80s. So like 81, man. Long life.
I thought you'd be interested in talking about that.
Yeah, I didn't realize it passed. Yeah, thank you.
Strike update. SAG-AFTRA has voted 97.91% in favor of a strike authorization. On Wednesday, they began negotiations.
Oh, baby, it's getting real.
So,
directors, where you at?
And it looks like the Directors Guild, the members of the Directors Guild are voting overwhelmingly no on that proposed contract.
Getting spicy over in Hollywood. The Netflix guys are like, Stranger Things needs to be filming soon.
I think we're close to a general strike, you guys.
Damn, dude. Dude, that's so crazy for all of Hollywood. Just like, no, we're all in solidarity.
Yeah.
All of Hollywood striking. I'm gonna strike.
All it would take is the directors and the actors, because what are you going to do? You literally can't do anything without them.
I want to see a CEO just be like, he's on set. Like, I'll do everything. I'll be the big man.
And that would mean James Gunn would have to strike.
Oh, I think he already said that he's not doing anything for Superman Legacy. He stopped on that or whatever.
He's not writing anything for Superman Legacy. He's still the director. Yeah. He's still the director, so he can still do. Yeah.
I'm sure he's like, hey, I've waited this long. I could wait a little bit longer. You know.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Ooh, this is a great so Remap Radio, which is the Phoenix Reborn version of Waypoint Radio, which closed down because Vice is going into bankruptcy. They had Adam Conover of Adam Ruins Everything. And a bunch of other great things. He's worked with Vice and Waypoint in the past before. He's a great guy. He's one part of the WGA. He's a board director member, and he's also part of the Actors Guild. He's part of all of it because he's a one-man talent. He does everything. He's on episode 2 because they just launched episode 2 of the Remap Radio episode number 2. Sorry, they don't have an episode title or anything. But for an hour, he goes into detail about why they're striking, what they want, what's happening, why they're fighting against it, the streaming stuff. It's really, really enlightening. You can just skip right to the time code if you just want to listen to that part. It's really great. It's someone who's on the picket line fence every day talking about the shit. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome. I'll definitely check that out. Side note, I'm really glad they were able to come together for a new podcast.
Yes. It happened because they had a month in advance. Like hey, you're getting laid off in a month. So they're like, okay, cool. We need to have something figured out. And they worked it out, and it's exciting.
That's good.
Yeah.
Comic book movie news. Do we want the bad news first or the good news first?
Give me the bad news. End it high.
Okay. Namor himself to not.
Oh, this one's awful. Shit.
Oh. You
God,
said.
Bless America.
Tena Huerta has been accused of sexual assault by a woman named Maria Elena Rios. And before we get into it, I'm just going to say who she is.
Yeah.
She is a 29-year-old saxophonist who her former boyfriend, who was a politician, hired a man to splash acid on her face and body, a crime for which they both went to jail for. She, in a series of tweets, she claimed that the company Prieto, published a podcast that she was on and featured her without paying her. The response was deleting the podcast and saying, no, we didn't, which is dumb. And in that same thread, they said that this company protects the violent and sexual predator, Tena Huerta.
Yeah, that politician thing is also interesting because she's also she's like an activist fighting to change a law in Mexico where if acid gets thrown at you, it's not attempted murder. It's just like a felony, and that's like on purpose for like political like murder shit. It's awful. It's like Two-Face shit, and you don't go to jail for like they go to jail, but they don't get in jail for life for trying to kill someone. It's like oh, you get a slap on the wrist. So that's awful. This lady. I'm so sorry. What a life. Just a cool saxophonist too. Like, man, men are awful. Obviously believe women. There's no reason not to believe her. I've also heard like it's the same thing with like Jonathan Majors. Like when something like this happens, and it's unfortunate. Like tons of stuff erupts out of it. Like apparently this is like a well-known thing in Mexico. He sleeps with fans apparently. Like he's like a big playboy person. And like that's not necessarily the worst. Like that's not awful, but it's also not great either when you're a huge celebrity. So like it's just like one of the things like he another asshole. God, that sucks, man.
Yeah. That is the important thing is to, as Ryan said, believe women, and it is not where does the MCU go from here. But it is it really sucks when someone like Tena Huerta, Jonathan Majors talked about a few weeks ago, gets these kind of big Marvel breaks, and they are beloved for them.
Yeah. And
then it has to be revealed that they're monsters.
Yeah.
Like that's heartbreaking for fans of these franchises, especially if you're on the right side of history. And it just feels icky, and it just sucks. Yeah. And Ryan said so eloquently, men suck.
And it's just one of those things where like it feels like every day now. It's just like stan culture. It's like, man, don't like try not to become too attached to celebrities, because like unless you're like a Keanu Reeves or a Tom Hanks, like I just like people are people, and like everyone could have the best of intentions, but sometimes people aren't good, and then they get really famous, and it's like it's hard like separating the art from the artist. Like it's with social media and how quick information can come out, and just like it gets harder every day.
Yeah. The fact that they're both minority actors, it kind of extra sucks because, this isn't how I feel and this isn't how we feel, but like there's a shitty part of the general public that it's the Will Smith slap. Oh, Will Smith was great, and then he slapped someone. Oh, he's terrible. He's blackballed for decades for a crime less than what Ezra Miller did. And
that Will Smith thing is the worst thing to happen to humanity. Like, people overreacted, and then so many worse things have happened. And like, man, you treated him like he killed somebody. God.
I know. I don't understand it.
The world's crazy.
And so it's like, this kind of paints a picture of like this whole people could start spinning this as this whole race is bad, and that it just really sucks, especially because he was so hot after that movie. People were thirsting after him. Yeah. And he's great in that movie. It just...
Well, here's the thing. Marvel will just have to try really hard and find another really hot dude. And I'm sure they can do it. I'm sure, you know what? There's plenty of hotties who can put those speedos on.
You know what? They've done it so far.
Yeah. Exactly.
Every year they find a new hottie.
Whoever that casting lady is, I'm sure she can find someone like lickety split.
Yeah. Someone's got to look good in those speedos, though.
Yeah. If I had a tan, my butt's not as good. I'll never be as good for anymore. It's not good enough anymore.
Anyway, that sucks. Hope believe women. Hope something better comes from this.
Yeah. Just, hey guys, just don't be bad. Just don't be bad.
Don't be dicks. Don't be a dick. Ben.
Don't be a dick.
No, you got to do the point.
Don't be a dick.
All right. So some good news then. Batman: The Brave and the Bold. Andy Muschietti is in talks to direct.
Oh, is this
The
good
Flash?
News? Is this good news? The Flash?
So.
Oh yeah. Is this good news?
The Flash.
No, but like
the Batman stuff in The Flash looks pretty cool.
No, it does. It does. It's just like, I don't know if I want, because especially if it's going to be a new Batman. Like, I don't want one director to have reign over everything. I thought that was the whole point of the James Gunn thing. Like, oh, like different directions, different styles. If it's Andy Muschietti, then we're keeping a similar thing going on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I mean, like the Flash, like whether it's good or not, but like I would want someone to do something different, like for Batman's tone. And not that Andy can't do it, but it is the same filmmaker making a completely different character.
Yeah.
And like, again, I'm sure it could be great, but like I was just hoping it'd be like a different, like crazy new filmmaker that we can get. But I'm sure it could be great.
Yeah. So I mean, you're right. So far we have James Gunn, and we know some of the writers, but we not a lot of directors. And then he would be James Mangold on Swamp Thing. Hopefully.
Oh yeah. Like that's awesome. Yeah.
That's a good point. I like what I'm seeing so far. The Flash. We won't know until this coming week.
I'm still jazzed for it. Yeah.
So on first glance, I'm actually kind of interested in this idea because giving him kind of free reign to start with a new Batman, his own picked Batman, could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and I do like the visual style of the Flash. So like, if it was him, like I wouldn't hate it. I'm sure that again, like having free reign to like start from fresh instead of like be beholden to like how many years of production at this point with that Flash movie,
and two well already established Batman.
Yeah. And apparently that movie's good, and he's doing that. That must take a lot. So yeah, that's cool. Maybe this is his reward. Like, man, you pulled that shit off, you get a Batman.
Here you go, you get a Batman. You get a Batman. You get a Batman.
And the Robin.
Yeah. So let's see where that goes. As of now, there's nothing in production as far as Batman: The Brave and the Bold. So we'll see.
That's so crazy that we're getting like a live action Brave and the Bold, and it's going to be like the fam. That's great.
I'm so excited.
That's so good.
Captain America: New World Order. Oh, sorry. They have changed the name to Captain America: Brave New World.
That's probably for the best.
Probably.
Yeah. For those who don't know, New World Order is anti-Semitic, and it refers to the cabal of the Illuminati who run the world. And in this specific case, it's a bunch of Jewish people. And it's not good, so we shouldn't use it anymore. So This is a little more, similar idea, and it's still about a new world-ish thing.
It's a new, it's kind of a positive spin. Like the Brave New World is Sam as Captain America.
Yeah. Or it's the Brave New World of everyone's going to be a Hulk.
Why doesn't Harrison Ford have a mustache?
I hope it's CG. I really, really do. I hope they're just like, he has to have it. And Harrison's like, no.
All right, we'll put it in post. He won't know. He'll never watch the movie.
He'll never even know until interviews.
He'll probably just like go to the premiere and then just walk out the back door.
Yeah. He won't even
Well,
bother.
the first shot of the movie is him shaving it. Like the first shot of Endgame is Captain America shaving his
Oh my
beard.
god. That's to show you that he's not the same character as William Hurt. So he's like, I'm not that Ross anymore.
Yeah, I gotta disguise my Hulkness.
God. If he actually did that, as like, I would be okay with that because that's so stupid.
Yeah,
I hate the mustache now.
Grayson live in the chat, but if you want to bring that up, stand by for Brave and the Bold 2, directed by FNP. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
I'll be
continues with since everyone gets a Batman movie.
I have a script. I have a Batman movie script that I wrote in college. I'll just dust that off.
You do. I read that.
It's Death of the Family. I just copied Death of the Family. It was for my adaptation class.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Speaking of comic books, though, got a lot of comic book news here. I'm going to start with the silliest.
That's a silly noise.
There is a comic book, Ben, you'll love this. There is a comic book one-shot kind of anthology coming out called Cereal.
Okay.
And it is spelled the way, like you eat cereal.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Mark Russell and Peter Snejberg, S-N-E-J Berg, they have been writing a horror comic, a horror anthology comic in the pages of Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Terror, based on the General Mills horror mascots, Frankenberry, Count Chocula, Boo Berry, or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm. Mark Russell's a genius, so I'm into it.
So he has apparently been doing this for 5 years. I had no idea.
No.
And now they will all be collected in an anthology title that will collect the entire story in Serial, with 3 new tales to wrap up the story.
Wow.
I'll buy it.
I think that's awesome. I really want that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He like reimagines them as horror characters. So, Mark Russell did Flintstones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Snagglepuss?
Yep.
Yeah. Both those books are really good and really they twist the source material on its head, make it a little bit darker. This is really cool. And I really like Mark Russell, and I'm kind of really interested in this.
Oh, that's going to be a future book club.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I might pick it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly looking forward to this. It's going to be out in October, so stay tuned.
Of course it is.
I thought I had a Mark Russell book. I did it. No Mark Russell book here.
But you've read plenty.
Oh, yes. I just thought I had one on hand. I was like, what's the newest one? Because there was one, oh, God, I haven't read a new DC book in a while, but it was like One Star Squadron. It was like Red Tornado and shit. And I was like, I thought I have that here, but I'm like, that's gone. I don't know where that is.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's the silly one. That's the silly kind of cool one.
I'm into it.
The rest are Birds of Prey.
Yes. Neat.
Written by Kelly Thompson with art by Leonardo Romero and Jody Belair. It's going to be
it's great.
This is going to be an ongoing title that will have a rotating cast every arc, but the debut cast will be Black Canary, Batgirl, Stephanie Brown, Batgirl, Big Barda, Zealot, and Harley Quinn.
Ooh, it's a good team. Good team. A lot of fun. This was a fun. Kelly Thompson doesn't do a lot of she's done some DC stuff, but this is an ongoing, and it's getting a lot of buzz because Kelly Thompson rules. Anything she writes at Marvel I love, so her doing a big DC thing makes me excited. It's a big new initiative with Birds of Prey. Harley's on it. I'm fine with that. I'm a new Harley lover, new as it hasn't been years now since
Kelly Thompson writing Harley has me interested.
Yeah, she's so I'm so excited for her version of Harley for sure. I think the team, Big Barda being on the Birds of Prey is really fun because Big Barda is just a big funny character, and she's really strong. And I can't wait to see who are you gonna fight with Big Barda on the team? She can kill everybody.
I mean,
so
it's
really cool.
Big Barda.
The art's gonna be sensational. That's great. I'll have to go to the comic store. I want to support this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I really like the Birds of Prey as a concept, and I'm glad they're bringing it back. And Kelly Thompson, I think, is the perfect person, and these are the perfect characters for her.
Yeah. There's one character I'm not familiar with.
Zealot?
Zealot, yeah. I'm sure. I think that's a newer character or an old school character, but can't wait to find out more.
Yeah. Well, it took them long enough, but the Predator and Wolverine are going to clash.
Hey, bud, get that laser off me.
Predator versus Wolverine will be written by Benjamin Percy, who is writing the Wolverine ongoing.
Oh, yeah.
with art by Andrea DeVito, Ken Lashley, Kay Zama, Greg Land, and more. We don't know more.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of people.
Benjamin Percy is a damn good Wolverine writer. When I was reading Wolverine monthly, I loved those books.
Yeah. I not that he's a great writer, but he's written a lot of the other books. I thought it was going to be Ed Brisson, so the Predator books. I'm sorry, the Predator new ongoing and stuff. So I thought it was going to be him, but the fact that it's Ben Person makes me really excited because that dude's just sensational. I love his work. His Wolverine Ben is great. X-Force, his Ghost Rider, great.
Yeah, I've started as Ghost Rider yet, but I've heard good things.
Mag is in the chat. Let them fight.
You made a little old Sarazawa "Let them fight" action. I used to love it when he said that.
No, you kidding me? That's what I say every time I'm watching clips from the Stanley Cup final with the Panthers and Go Knights. Every time they want to fight, I'm like, let them fight.
Ben clearly does not remember the legendary character that I can't remember the actor's name. Bradley Whitford played in Godzilla King of the Monsters. Because that's his line. I quoted him directly. The old Sarazawa "Let them fight" action. I used to love when he said that. Rick, that's his name. It's Rick something.
Yep.
Whatever.
Rick Poncho.
Is it really?
No, I don't know.
I thought you were looking at your phone.
No, it's all right. I just got it. Like.
So this is gonna be out in September, and it's about the Predator and Wolverine fighting. So cool.
I'm sure that'll be a darn good time.
Yeah. Ultimate Universe.
Ooh, yes.
We know that Ultimate Invasion is coming from Jonathan Hickman and Brian
Hitch.
Thank you. I went through every Brian last name I knew.
The Rolodex. There's a lot.
We know that 4-issue miniseries is going to happen, but spinning out of that will be this one-shot, Ultimate Universe #1, written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Stefano Caselli.
Oh, God, so good.
This is going to be a one-shot that will launch a new line of Ultimate Comics. So everything's spinning out of this. And I'll read the description a little bit. After the maker's desperate attempt to restore the Ultimate Universe unleashes massive unintended consequences, a group of Marvel's heroes are caught in a war between timelines. As universes collide, the foundation of a new line of Ultimate Comics will be built.
It's almost like a mini Secret Wars.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way because it's and they're talking about this being like, if you never read the old Ultimate Comics, you can just come here. And this will be a new launching point, which explains why so many of the dead characters are alive again.
Yes, that's definitely confusing because like that's what was fun about the Ultimate Comics, and also like the downfall because we can kill everybody, so they kind of just did, and they're like, who do we have left? So kind of
Wolverine's son.
Yeah, James, Jimmy, Jonathan. This is really really exciting. Not really because it's the Ultimate Universe, but because this is going to be a fresh new slate of Marvel comic books, where it's going to be all the characters but it's truly going to be like these are actual #1s, where whether how much origin story will be there or not, I don't even know. Like I wonder, will it be just like 5 years into this new Ultimate world? Like they can do that, that'll be cool. But like just a brand new universe with a hopefully a great set of writers. Hopefully like the Krakoa thing, keep it interconnected so all the books are tied together that make sense. So you can do a big event together. Like hopefully this will be a brand new cool line where like if you're kind of fed up with what's happening over there, we got a whole nother thing building up over here, baby. And because it's its own thing, it can be different. It can be weird. Since the Ultimate Universe ended and came back and ended and came back, like so many new characters have been around, and they're all going to get their own universe, Ultimate version created. So like that's really fun, and I'm all about that shit. So like as long as the creators are there, and you got Hickman involved, so like he's going to get the good people. So I'm excited, man.
This is a really weird question that I thought of, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Do we think Miles goes back? He's pretty well established in 616 right now. I don't imagine
he is,
but I've seen him on the covers a lot for these books because he's associated with the Ultimate Comics. So
yeah,
is that them hinting that maybe he goes back?
I want to say I'm going to say yes because one, no matter how good Miles' book is, like the fact that there are multiple Spider-Men in 616 in New York, like he just doesn't have as much freedom to be himself or This like the limelight isn't on him like it should be. Like he
Mhm.
should just be this. He should just be Spider-Man. You know, we've talked about this to death. But like Peter should he should be with a family and he can still be Spider-Man. But Miles should be the dude, right? And it'll be his teenage journey for the next 50 years. Should be the journey. That can now happen in this other universe. It should just be in the 616, but like the world won't let that happen, and that sucks. I just wish it could be. But if there is a world where he can be the one and only Spider-Man, I hope that can be true. That'd be great.
Part of the reason why I ask is because Miles and Gwen have a similar problem that they're just another spider in 616, and I would really like it for, honestly, I think it'd be better for both of them. And selfishly, I want Gwen to go back to their own universes because I just think that's those comics are allowed to kind of be electrifying and new and different and bold and fun.
And they're not beholden to the 616 universe. And like again, like I'm not fully caught up because Marvel Unlimited's great. Like it's like 3 months. Like that Miles comic's great, but like he's fighting the Rhino and shit. I'm like, this comic's cool. But like he did fight the Ultimate Goblin. Again, that's where a lot of the Ultimate stuff is coming back. We're like, okay, that's pretty sick. Why is the Ultimate Goblin back? But like it's like his big debut comic #1 is like I'm fighting the Rhino, and I'm like, cool, that's Peter's villain from 50 years ago. Like what are we doing?
And you mentioned the Ultimate Comics coming back. Like there's been a few times where the Ultimate Comics has been like, hey, we're kind of bringing it back. Spider-Man 2 ends with it, where we see probably a Ultimate Ironheart, I think. Venom, the final episode of Venom that had the Maker had him going to the Ultimate Universe, and it was all destroyed and whatnot.
And that's what he's been doing, is like building that shit up.
Yeah, and so it's I'm so curious to know like how this builds from what we've seen, if it does. That's like my biggest question. Like, is it going to be like pretend those two appearances didn't happen and this is new, or is it building to that? Be interesting to see.
Man, that's actually a good question. I have a feeling it'll be like, hey, I did those things, but don't worry about it. You know, it's comics. Like you can believe it happened before or not, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like I think it could all. I think it make it work for me. I'm just excited that like the Maker's back because that dude's radical. I love Evil Reed Richards. That dude's an ass. What an ass.
I really like the Maker. I'm glad he's
big
back.
big old head.
Okay, Avengers Inc. So this is going to be a noir-inspired story starring the Wasp and a mysterious undead man going by Victor Shade. Who's writing it, you may ask? The one and only Al Ewing.
The most overworked man. I'm so not worried about this book being. I'm not worried about this book being bad. It's gonna be great, but like that dude is doing a lot now, and I'm like, oh, you're reaching that Bendis point. We're writing like 6 books, dude.
And I hope it doesn't affect his quality because Immortal Thor, I'm really excited about.
Exactly. We just announced a new book like 2 weeks ago.
So this is an ongoing. Interestingly enough, this is not a miniseries. It's an ongoing, written by Al Ewing with art by Leonard Kirk.
Oh, that's so good. So the stars the Wasp, which makes me now go, okay, now I actually have to read, not that I wasn't, but I have to read it quicker, that Ant-Man and that Wasp miniseries that he did. Because that dude apparently like fell in love with all that shit. He's like, I want to do more with the Wasp, which is great. So that's cool, man. Like a noir story with like, Spy Janet. I could be into that. I mean, again, anything Al Ewing writes the toilet paper, I'll write the toilet paper. I'll read it.
He someone posted on Twitter was like, Al Ewing, you could just get the main Avengers title at this point. It's like, I think he knows that, but he's more interested in doing these side Avengers stories. Because what was the one he did before Secret Wars? Mighty Avengers?
Yeah.
Great book. Benefited from not being the main Avengers book. And then here, it's kind of the same thing. Like it's Avengers Inc. where you can do like this noir story. Like he can't really do that on the main Avengers title.
He did the Ultimates.
Yeah.
He's a man of many talents.
I love his Ultimates run. It's so good.
That dude is he is the best in the business right now.
Yeah. Cool. That'll be out in September and we're all excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this I left off the news a few months ago. Weeks ago? Probably closer to months. Because I didn't think it sounded very interesting. But now I'm going to bring it back. So Robert Kirkman is writing a new ongoing title called Void Rivals. This is going to be his new creator-owned title in the same vein as Oblivion Song, Invincible, Walking Dead, everything he does, published through his company Skybound. He's doing this book, but with art by Lorenzo De Felici, who did Oblivion Song with him. Now, like I said, it's from Skybound, and this is going to be about two rivals, Derek and Salida, who crash land on a desolate planet orbiting a black hole, and there's like mysteries and to be found in this planet. And then the image listed said, "This will be the biggest surprise you'll ever see in comics." That surprise has been spoiled. This is why I'm bringing it back. So now we know that Robert Kirkman has gained the rights to Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Wow.
So
this comic isn't out yet?
This comic is not out yet.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. It could have been leaked by Image, honestly, because probably there wasn't a lot of Oblivion Song didn't do great numbers for Image.
Yeah.
And so maybe the numbers weren't quite there. And so they were like, hey, maybe if we leak this will be this will kind of build the thing. So Transformers and G.I. Joe, as we know, left IDW last year. And we weren't sure who was getting them, but we did hear through the grapevine that Skybound was looking to purchase them because of how big of a fan Robert Kirkman is. Looks like he got them.
Damn, that dude's got money.
Yeah. So Skybound is the new owner, is the new home for Transformers and G.I. Joe, and they will debut in a new shared universe started by this new ongoing Void Rivals.
Wow, a shared universe of Transformers and G.I. Joe. I could never imagine that happening.
I know, right? So the interesting thing is not necessarily the G.I. Joe Transformers, is that he put his new character in a universe with them.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, baller move, dude. I'd do it.
Yeah.
Yo, man, he was like, you know what? I really like Transformers and G.I. Joe. I'm like a literal billionaire. I can buy Transformers. Done it. I'm writing a comic, baby. Like that is the dream.
So the new Transformers line will leave from Void Rivals, making Void Rivals an ongoing series in the Transformers universe. Then it will spin out Transformers #1, which will be out in October, Duke #1, which will be out in December, and Cobra Commander #1, which will be out in January.
Cobra!
So I assume Kirkman is writing Transformers, but we don't have the list of who's writing these books yet.
Yeah, that is one really interesting. I understand why they'd want this to come out before the comic comes out, I guess, to build hype for that comic. That makes sense. It is super cool that it's like these two guys are just like having a battle, and then oops, there's Optimus Prime.
Oops, Optimus Prime.
Also the Cobra Commander. That's just really, really funny. That's totally cool. Like I'm totally like that sounds just like a fun comic book. There's no like those that makes sense to me. The Void Rivals thing, that sounds just like a fun concept on its own, but then spinning out of it is a new initiative for the entirety of Transformers and G.I. Joe. I'm like, wow, I didn't see that one coming. Okay.
This is going to be Skybound's first licensed comic, and in that way, it seems fitting that this licensed comic is spitting out of a creator-owned comic.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I just the way I see it is like this is just fun comic book shit. This is to me like the fact that Robert Kirkman got the rights to G.I. Joe and Transformers, awesome, kick ass, and now he's like, hey, I could do. It's the type of thing where it's like I've had these stories I want to tell for the longest time, and now I'm able to finally tell them.
You bet your ass. If I ever found myself with the rights of Alien and Predator, I would write a better version of my Alien versus Predator fan fiction I wrote in the 90s.
Oh yeah, yeah. If I had the rights to Sonic the Hedgehog, I'd be writing some good Sonic books.
Yeah, Skydance is owned by Paramount. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, Skybound. Skydance is J.J. Abrams' company.
Oh, well, whatever I said. Yeah.
Skybound,
I'm like, yeah. I bet you. It's just funny that we watched the movie and then this thing announced, and I'm like, man, there's some synergy going to be happening. That's really fun. It's crazy.
Yeah, accidental synergy just came out before the movie, but it's funny.
Ooh, Paramount.
I'm honestly I'm kind of really excited to read I don't know if I will, but it excites me to know that I could probably jump in on a new Transformers initiative at a #1.
Yeah, I will. I don't know if there's anything in the world besides you guys picking it for the book club that can make me read a G.I. Joe comic. Not for any like quality reasons. Just like I'd rather read something else. I'll read a Transformers comic, sure. I don't need to read about military men doing that. Like I read enough comic books already. I don't need that one. Yo Joe.
Yojo.
The movie of it.
The Transformers one. I hope that I have one last thought on it. And I just hope that Robert Kirkman keeps developing Starscream into a cool character because he's had a really interesting trajectory, and I want to see that continue.
Oh, that's so interesting. I wonder, man. I wonder if they'll like start at a point or do something new, or like it's been 20 years since the last adventure and everyone's in a new place and we have to learn it slowly over time. Like I'm so curious, like what his like the first time we see them, what's the state of that world gonna be? That's what I'm interested in. Yeah.
All right, that's all the comic book news. So let's move on.
Bye, comics.
Amazon Prime is launching Prime Video, sorry, not Amazon Prime. Prime Video is launching a cheaper ad-supported tier. Of course, yeah. Well, I mean, look what we're seeing with the WGA strike. Like, it's beneficial because they can make money off of this because they're not making money anywhere else.
Right. Well, the thing, but they're owned by Amazon, the billion-dollar company. They're fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is also that.
This is literally no big deal whatsoever. Yeah, some people don't want to spend the extra money and they don't mind watching 2 minutes of ads. If you want to save a couple bucks, that's no big deal. Yeah. If you're not gonna use it, don't worry about it. Just keep paying $5 more. No big deal.
It's just, honestly, for me, it's just more proof that, like, hey, there's money going somewhere. Where's it going? So yeah, I'm honestly like, it doesn't really bother me. It's just kind of one of those things that I think the writer's strike should kind of be like, hey, you be making ad revenue. Now that you're making ad revenue for your streaming show, you need to adhere to the TV rules that we put down years ago. Cool. So The Legend of Zelda, Universal and Illumination are apparently, this is all rumor. Are supposedly reaching Ryan is convulsing. Ryan, no. Are apparently reaching a deal to develop a movie based on The Legend of Zelda.
I'm okay.
Ben, are you okay?
No. Well, you and I talked about this the other day. I have thoughts, and it's not that I don't think a Legend of Zelda movie won't work. It can. Yeah. But not in the hands of Illumination. Not in their style. And just no. Anyone else.
Not just anyone else, Ben. Because like I don't think you can just give anybody else like The Legend of Zelda. Like I think Mario and Illumination makes sense for the most part. Honestly, like the only studio that will never do it is Studio Ghibli. Like that is the only one that makes sense for what Zelda is. A beautiful adventure that's like full of whimsy and like lighthearted tones. It's not overly dark. That has dark stuff in it. Like that aesthetic is perfect. And I'm trying to think like what other movie that gives me Zelda vibes, and I just can't think. Like I How to Train Your Dragon, maybe, but I don't want Zelda to look like that movie. That movie looks great, but that's not what I want my Zelda movie to look like. You know what I mean?
I was talking about this with Brandon the other day, and an animation style that could possibly work is the animation style behind Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yeah, I can see that personally.
Let me ruminate.
That kind of 2D, 3D aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could work. But if Illumination does get a hold of the rights to The Legend of Zelda, they really have to take a completely different approach to how the characters are designed, to how the story is being told. Because I was even talking about this with let's be real, Mario and Zelda built Nintendo into the juggernaut that they are today. Obviously, Mario was the
Nintendo.
I mean, Mario was like the big is like, the bigger juggernaut. It's the one, he's the one that makes the most money and all that stuff.
Zelda just sold 10 million copies in 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, when a Mario game was released and when a Zelda game was released, there's two different kinds of hype. Yes, people get excited for the Mario game, but we know Mario has a certain quality. But when a Zelda game was announced, there is a gravitas to that announcement. People are more hyped. They're more scrutinized. They look at the trailer. That's why the Tears of the Kingdom was like constantly scrutinized. And then when the game came out, and 10 out of 10s across the board, and they said this is like the best game ever made.
I got it. Here's the vibe that I'm looking for Zelda from me. Did we all see The Green Knight?
Yes.
I did not.
Do you remember The Green Knight and how that movie is like not really story heavy? It's really vibey. Not that dark, but something like that in Lord of the Rings is what I'm looking for when I think of a Zelda movie. Like so many animated movies, again, like not that like these, like all these movies are good, but like I don't want my Zelda movie to be like any of the animated movies I've seen in the last like 5 years. Like I needs to be something a little different, a little not even mature, just like it's like I don't know, like Studio Ghibli. That's just, I see that in my brain. Like I don't want it to look like like Elemental. You know what I mean? Like, not that that's bad, but like, you can only do it once. You know what I mean? I think Mario did it right. That movie looks awesome, but like Zelda cannot look like that. I don't think it should. I don't think it should.
Mag is in the comments. I would love to see the animation style to the company that did Lupin the Third.
Mag, yes, that's actually perfect. That's actually perfect. You did it. You solved it, Mag. I love you for that. Thank you.
That would make the game. That would make they would make an amazing Zelda movie. But also, I feel that if you are going to make a Zelda movie, you need to make a movie that's its own story. If you're going to tackle any of the stories from Legend of Zelda, maybe someone adapt the first one, but don't go out adapting Ocarina of Time. Don't go out trying to adapt Twilight Princess, and don't even try to make sense of the timeline. Just don't.
Oh, so I got it now. So what we should do is we should get Tom Holland, and we should kind of mix elements from all the games into one movie. So we have a bunch of just conflicting plot lines, and there you go. We did it. Oh, that's Uncharted.
I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. I think honestly, I think Ben, like I don't even think for your first one. I think it could be pretty simple. Like again, like have it be about Ganon, about Zelda and Hyrule and the Triforce, and like you don't have to pick like a specific thing from one of the big games. But it can still be amalgamation of like, again, like all the old games didn't have a Breath of the Wild had where all of the races are in one place. Like, you know, like all like the Rita and the Zora, like I like that Zelda world where all the people, it feels like a big world. Right. So like I don't want to get rid of that stuff. So like, I just don't know. I don't even know what I think Zelda movie should be. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, there have been people arguing that Zelda should never be made into a film, and part of me, yeah,
like the Triforce, and they gotta get it, and like, you know, Ganon's the bad guy, he's like Sauron,
or at least like, I don't know, maybe think out a trilogy for Zelda, because Zelda is definitely one of those film. If you are to make a Zelda film, and you're going to make it as epic as people want it to be, it's not going to suffice in one single 90-minute film, especially with Illumination's track record. No, you need that shit to breathe. You need that shit to expand.
It does make sense that that Nintendo is thinking about Illumination, because they just make them $1 billion now. Has it hit?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And like, again, that movie is totally fine, but like, if quality control is not what you're looking for, then Illumination is perfect.
Yeah.
And like the thing about Link talks less than Mario does. Link is a silent protagonist. And if I watch an entire movie of like Zac Efron doing a good job of being Link, but like I never needed to hear Link go, what? Like, you know what I mean? Just like I see the Illumination version, I'm just like, oh, I really don't want it. I just really don't want it.
I see the Illumination version, and it's them ripping off the cartoon, and you hear Link do the line, "Excuse me, princess."
Yeah, that's gonna be the trailer line.
Okay, so I know you can't see the Illumination version, but let me pitch to you guys. So the Illumination animation, but it's Zelda, and then put "I Need a Hero" on top of it. What about now?
Get out.
It's a great song. I love that song.
No, I love
so sick of that song.
And not just that, but yeah, and also because like Mario, Zelda, I would also argue that the music in Zelda is a lot more impactful than the Mario music. Not to say the Mario music is bad, but Mario doesn't have a symphony that tours every few years. Zelda does. The Symphony of the Goddess, that's a touring show. That show happens every few years.
Acknowledge the chat, Ben. You got people talking. Grayson and Mag both said stuff that I want you to pull up.
So let's go. I'm gonna go wind back. Grayson said, "What if that's that fan theory where it's Legend of Zelda, but Ganon is the pro tag?"
Interesting.
I don't know if you do that for your first movie, but I do like that idea a lot.
I like the idea, maybe as an epilogue, maybe as like a side story, but not for the first movie, because it's like Ganon always has to be the bad guy. Mag has two. The first one says Link's Awakening would have wacky potential, but you can see where I'm coming from. Link's Awakening, I mean, that's a short and sweet game. That could be a decent movie, but once again, I don't know. And Mac also says, pray that we don't hear that line. I'm assuming is to, excuse me, princess.
Yeah.
God, that 80s cartoon, man.
All right. Mortal Kombat. We're not going to be talking about the gameplay trailer. We're going to wait for the Basement Arcade pause menu. But we will be talking about the fact that Jean-Claude Van Damme has been cast as Johnny Cage.
Yes, he is in the game, he's not in the story mode. He is a downloadable character for Combat Pack 1, which you will be buying on the store. So if you want to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, you got to give him money. But that's okay, because that's how it's been since Mortal Kombat 9. Man, who we got? We had Carl Weathers. He not only was it Carl Weathers as Jax, it was Carl Weathers from Predator as Jax, because Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it as Terminator. There was Lyndon Ashby, who is the original Johnny Cage from the movie. He was in Mortal Kombat 10 as a downloadable pay money for me please character. So like they've done this a lot. Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's in this game because he was going to be the original Johnny Cage, and he didn't want to do it. So he's doing it now because Mortal Kombat's big and hot now. He's like, yeah, I'll do a voice, no problem.
The Shang Tsung in this trailer in Mortal Kombat 1, I may be way off base, but he looks like the movie version. Is that intentional?
No, it's no. So it is the guy in Mortal Kombat 11. That is the actor. This guy, it just looks kind of like him, but it's not the same guy. Because
I know that they have a skin pack for Mortal Kombat 11 where you could play as Raiden and Christopher Lambert Raiden.
Yeah,
and Liu Kang, right? I think.
Yeah, and all of them basically. Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. So this is kind of like that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, just for Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah. That's cool. I can't wait to hear his cool accent.
Hey, it's gone full circle now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Was he Villain in Expendables?
He was.
Okay, yeah. That's a good movie.
In the best Expendables movie, yeah.
I agree, Ryan. Cool. Trailers.
T-Talk.
It's a big trailer park.
It is a big trailer park. So strap in because we're going to be barreling through the trailer park. I don't know about you guys, but I always kind of assume the trailer park is this, we're just driving through it and we see trailers, kind of. That's how I thought of it.
I actually really, really like that. I don't know why. It was like a drive-in movie theater, but like we're in a big semi trailer, like and I'm like, oh, the trailers are photos. But I like that we're driving past them instead. I like your idea.
I think that's kind of fun, right?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, look, it's Bottoms.
The movie, not the.
Yeah. That's later.
I'm a Virgo.
Yeah. This looks super, super interesting. A big 13 foot tall dude just trying to live his life. He's scared to go out in the world because of obvious reasons. He's just trying to go on a sense of adventure, to have a sense of adventure. Looks really fun. Boots Riley's a really interesting filmmaker, so I'll definitely probably check this out. This is a movie, right? Not a show.
Yeah, oh no, it's a series. It's a series.
It's a series. Okay.
Yeah,
it's a little more commitment, but I'm still interested.
Because he's the director of The Favorite and The Lobster. No, that's Poor Things.
That's Poor Things. No, yeah, this is Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to Bother You. That's the movie. Yeah, Sorry to Bother You is a really funny movie. I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. This looks equally as interesting.
Yeah, it looks. People say there's no originality in Hollywood. I'm like, y'all, I just watched this trailer. Like, you got to support things. As I say, I'm probably not going to watch it, but you got to support it anyway. I might watch it. Good reviews.
Bottoms.
Ben, did you watch this one?
Yeah, I watched them. I watched them all.
So Ben, Bottoms, Kit from Willow is in this.
Oh yeah,
she's the short-haired girl. She's the short-haired brunette. Yeah, I almost didn't recognize her also without body armor.
So more importantly, the stars of the movie are Ayo Edebiri from The Bear, who's 27, and Rachel Sennott, who is also 27, and they're both in high school, and you can tell they're not in high school. I always love watching movies. We're like, man, you guys are almost 30 years old. Love it. None of you belong in this high school. Brandon, this trailer was extremely funny. Extremely funny. We love a modern diverse comedy of wacky sorts, but this one just like it has an extra like edge to it that I didn't realize was in it. It's very dark, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
It's very gay, and I love that.
Oh yeah, like dark and gay.
Yeah, they straight up. I just like the opening line is like, "Will the two gays?" It's like, oh wow, okay, that's what.
No, like will the two boring gays come to the office? That's you two.
They start like a fight club.
So the plot is they start a fight club to protect themselves, and they probably get a little too into it. But I love how raunchy it looks. I kind of miss this kind of like high school comedy that we used to get a little bit. This is a bit more so, but it's kind of in the same vein.
It's like it's definitely like in the vein of like something like Superbad. Which again, like we don't get those. We don't get many of those anymore.
I mean, the trailer says that it's the horniest, bloodthirsty comedy or whatever. I forgot. Is this a show too, or is this a movie?
This is a movie. So this is a movie.
Yeah.
The teacher who's like, you're playing with the beat. I don't think you're allowed to talk to us like that, like legally.
Because he straight calls him. I was like, you started a fight club so you could get some coochie, and he was like, can you stop talking? Or even like, also I love how all the football players are just always in their full football uniform gear, like their shoulder pads. And
you've been cheating on me. I have proofs. Not true. I slept with your mom. Oh,
yeah, I F your mom. Like, oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think this looks really funny.
Oh yeah.
Good Omens season 2. Now, you guys have not seen Good Omens season 1, right?
Nope.
Highly recommend. It's awesome. It's David Tennant, Martin Sheen, at the top of their game. Quite frankly, they're excellent.
Neil
together. Gaiman? Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett.
Oh.
They wrote the first book together, and they had plans to write the sequel, but Terry Pratchett died before that happened.
Wait, can you real quick? Can you name those two artists again? The two people who did it?
Neil Gaiman and Terry. No, I'm Pratchett. Oh,
that's a good team.
I forgot we had the soundbite. So he was going to have they were going to write the sequel, but out of respect for his fallen friend, Neil Gaiman never completed the sequel. This is what they had kind of thought the second book was going to be. They used that outline for this season of the show.
Love it. That's awesome.
Because there is no second book, so they did the entire first book in the first season of Good Omens.
That's fantastic. This is one of those shows that I definitely like. You know, just there's too many shows in the world, but like I definitely want to catch it because I love those two guys.
Yeah, and they're so good. And I know you guys probably didn't watch the trailer for this one because you haven't seen.
No, I didn't want to, just in case.
Yeah,
I mean, John Hamm is in it.
Yeah, John Hamm is in. He's in the first show, the first season as the Archangel Gabriel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ooh.
And so it's for those of you who don't know, it's like an angel and a devil. They're in love. They're not the subtextually in love, but they're
roommates.
They're roommates. And they've known each other since the time of Adam and Eve. And so the plot is that they have to stop the end of the world now that it's coming. This is something else. David Tennant, I'm so excited to see him play a bad guy again. Not like a bad guy, but like a bad guy.
A naughty guy.
Yeah, he's a demon. As Crowley and as Arafel as Martin Sheen as the angel.
Crowley.
I'm actually really excited for this. I really like that first season.
Oh yeah.
All right, Justice League War World.
I was slightly confused because there's like Western shit happening and like Barbarian, and then like also War World's happening. Did I miss something?
Yeah, so this is the sequel to Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so the last movie, because this is part of the Tomorrowverse.
Are they doing an MCU on us?
Yeah, this is a new animated universe.
Oh, I gotta actually watch all the movies.
So Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Batman: The Long Halloween, Justice Society, World War II, all in the same universe with Legion of Superheroes, Green Lantern, Beware My Power, and now this is the next one. This is kind of why I'm confused why the Justice League is already established in Green Lantern, Beware My Power, because I feel like this is kind of your Justice League origin movie. Like this is how Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman meet. Because there's a lot of like, what are we doing here? Who are we? There's a little bit of Secret Wars for some reason.
Or the Convergence.
Or is it
because it's basically the same thing. Just one's way better.
I never remember Convergence until it comes up on this podcast.
I truly cannot believe at the almost the exact same time that like universe shattering things were happening at the exact same time, and one was so bad and one was so good, and I'm reading it at the same time. I'm like, how is this possible?
Oh, it gives you whiplash.
Hey, I'm so mad at myself for only reading one of those, and no, I did not read the good one.
There is only the one good one.
Hey, to be fair, some of those Convergence tie-ins were cool because you got to see old characters team up and like, whatever.
You know what? I made the joke, but I actually did like Captain Carrot and Harley Quinn. There's the Batgirls one.
Superman got to have a family before he actually got to have a family. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the Dan Jurgens 2 issues of Superman and Lois. That's where John Kent comes from, which is good.
That.
There's I don't mean to just list a bunch, but like my favorite was like Batgirl and Oracle and Nightwing. We finally got to see them get together.
I remember that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. There were some good tie-ins.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Justice League Warworld is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman returning, and they're on Warworld for some reason. I still really like this animation, so I'm still.
But also, Wonder Woman's like hanging out with Jonah Hex in the 1800s, and Batman is in his caveman from Batman when he died. And Superman is doing something.
Oh, what was that called? There wasn't the Return of Bruce Wayne.
It was the Return of Bruce Wayne. It's where he's a caveman, cowboy, pirate. Yeah. Grant Morrison, you wild.
And at the end of this, hey, read the comics of Justice League Warworld, Superman Warworld.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Oh, wait, I actually can do it. I haven't read it yet, but I'll get to it one day.
There it is.
Right there.
Resident Evil Death Island.
We talked about this trailer, the first trailer a couple weeks ago, and it looked like just a lot of dumb fun. This looks like it is still going to be a lot of dumb fun, but this looks like it makes it actually a better movie. I like all the characters coming together. It reminds me of you guys have read and or seen Justice League Tower of Babel. We're like, oh, the villain gets all the information about all the heroes. And it's like, oh, this guy named Dylan, who looks like Kevin Bacon, he's got all the information about all our heroes. And they're all from the different games. And they're all teaming up on Alcatraz. And you got all your favorite monsters and all that shit. So like, it just looks like a great like fan service good time.
This is by the director who did Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which I watched all of.
I watched one episode of, and I was like, not for me.
I shouldn't have finished that show.
No, man, if you liked it like that you haven't been exposed to a lot of Resident Evil. So like if that is a entry point for you, I'm still happy you have it.
Yeah, it wasn't that good though.
That sucks. That's
this looks infinitely more fun though.
Infinitely more darkness.
Infinitely more darkness. This looks fun. I'm actually really interested in this.
Yeah.
Sympathy for the Devil.
How do I feel about Nick Cage, man?
Oh man.
This really rocked.
Yeah, this was like a blast.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Nick Cage looks awesome. I'm so down.
The whole like story of the guy getting carjacked on the day his wife is getting pregnant.
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag is
on the day his wife is getting pregnant.
On the day his wife is getting birthed. God damn it.
It's okay. I'm just joshing. And
it's just this whole mess of affairs and just Nick Cage is being totally unhinged. I'm in.
I love the trailer, but my favorite line is the very end of the trailer. It's like, I was 100% sex, and then you ruined it. Now I'm just 50% sex. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Was it calls the guys like, don't ghost me like my therapist.
Yeah. It's like Dr. Bronson or whatever. Yeah. Joel Kinnaman is the guy who gets carjacked. I like that dude in the Suicide Squad, I guess, only. I watched him in Altered Carbon. He was pretty good in that, I guess. But yeah, like Nick Cage just gets to have a blast. This looks like a good time. Like low budget movie, just keep it, all in the car except for going to places, terrorizing people. It's like a good time.
Yeah.
He looks at the trucker and yells at him to sit down in a very sing-songy way, and the trucker just goes,
oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna play a game, and if you don't answer, I'm gonna kill the trucker, then I'm gonna kill the waitress. It looks so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Expendables.
I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I'm not into it.
So the only reason why I put this on, there's one to say Expendables, Expendables 4, and two to say this looks like garbage.
Yeah, it definitely. The trailer we talked about last week. This guy's had a great 2 weeks. Let me say, the director of Hidden Strike is also directing Expendables. Yeah, this like the action looks totally fine, but when I don't care about the characters, right? But like I will go see a movie if your action's really really good. Even the action's like nah. The movie from last week even had better action. Even then, I'm still not super interested. So like.
I'm a defender of the first three Expendables films. I like those movies quite a bit. Second one, I think is just the best, just in general. We did this plot. This is like the old blood versus the new blood. We did this. This is Expendables 3. You're just showing me a worse Expendables 3, and that's already the worst one?
And like, people are missing from the cast who I'd want to be there, and I'm
Terry
sure
Crews. Where the hell's Terry Crews?
Did he die? I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't remember. Jet Li's not coming back because he didn't like working on the first film. Fine. Where's there's no like stunt casting? Is the stunt casting Megan Fox? Because like the stunt casting for the last one was Antonio Banderas and Wesley Snipes.
So the guy who fights, I think it's Statham at the end, Tony Jaa. He's from like the Raid, and he's in Fast and Furious. So, like he is a good get as an action star, but I think he's just like a bad guy. He's not like a main feature. So he'll have one great scene probably, as he often does in a lot of these movies. Like Randy Couture, who's an MMA fighter that I liked 10 years ago. He's a big headline of this trailer. And I'm like, we have lost the plot here if Randy Couture is your selling point in these movies for sure. Like Couture, Lundgren. And I'm like, Stallone's the last name. And that means I don't think Stallone's in this movie very much, by the way. I think he's gonna show up in and out of it.
That would suck. I look. The thing is, like, I'm gonna be a broken record because this doesn't have like the pull that the other Expendables films do. Because as Ryan said, like a lot of this cast is missing, and kind of the fun of the Expendables is getting that cast together. And Schwarzenegger and Willis. I get you're not getting Willis back because he's got to be retired. But is Schwarzenegger in this? And if he's not, what's the point?
He'll probably have a 5-minute cameo because that's easy, you know.
Normally, that's in the trailer.
Yeah, that's true. This one specifically feels like. I don't even like it. Doesn't feel like passion.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like anyone's heart is in it. Even at the worst, like Stallone actually really liked getting the Expendables together. It was something he enjoyed doing. It doesn't. I don't see that here.
And this and like the jokes are awful. And like
I know.
And like Megan Fox is like great. Like I'm cool. I love that she's in it and stuff. But like her having like a cool, sexy fight and then Stallone interrupts them. I'm just like, this feels like so like Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2005.
It looks derivative in a way that they weren't.
Yeah, and there's like a really bad dick joke at the end. It's like, oh, mine's bigger, and then the girl winks at the camera, which is from a different scene that they cut into it to make it a worse joke. And I'm just like, oh, you're grabbing like
Fix.
You're grabbing like the 45-year-olds are like, yeah, muscle, yeah. Grab a Bud Light, yeah. Sorry guys, I don't mean to give me to you.
I'm bummed because like I like those first 3 films. I was looking forward to this one. That sucks.
I don't know if I've seen 3, but I've seen the first 2, and that second one is really fun. Like I'm not gonna call it an incredible movie, but it's a really great action movie for sure. Like a lot of like good chemistry between those guys. So like
is that the one with Chuck Norris?
Better.
Yes, that's the one with Chuck Norris.
Okay, yeah.
Because that was again, like every time they do one of these, they get like someone else from that time period. Like so, Stallone always wanted Jackie Chan, but never got him. Yeah. But like it was Chuck Norris in 2, and then it was Antonio Banderas and Wesley Snipes in 3.
The director of Hidden Strike couldn't get Jackie Chan for this one. That's sorry, Stallone, couldn't get it.
Oh, that's right. There is a connection there. What happened on Hidden Strike?
What happened on Hidden Strike?
All right, some documentaries. We'll start with Stan Lee.
Oh, Excelsior.
This looks very sweet and very charming.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gonna be curious. Well, one, I know I'm not curious because they won't like how because everyone's got the skeletons in the closet. I wonder if they're gonna obviously ignore all that stuff. I'm curious how much new information we're gonna get because Stan Lee is not like it's not like he hasn't been on camera for the last 50 years of his entire life, right? And I've personally seen a lot of interviews with him and with other people. There have been plenty of documentaries already made about him when he was alive, right? And not to disparage this one or anything, but like I'm curious. Now, this is a Disney-made product about Stan Lee. Like I wonder if this will just be a really nice fluff piece, and again, those are totally fine. Or if there will be actually something new I will get because like I've seen those great speeches he's given a lot. Like I've seen those speeches a lot, and like I love Stan Lee. I'm just like for me. Like who's been in the comics world a long time, like will I see anything new other than like, man, I do miss Stan Lee, you know, like again, not to sound too negative on it or anything.
No, you're absolutely right because you know there's a good criticism to have. Like Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby, how are they going to be mentioned in this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Will they be?
Yes.
I mean, they would have to. You think they would have to be, but like you know, Stan Lee was not good to them. That's the reason why they didn't work with him after their
and like run. And he is obviously he's incredibly essential to all of Marvel, but like so were other people, and like sometimes people forget that, and it's like when these things come out, like especially when someone passes, that can be solidified. Like look at Bill Finger, like how long did it take for his legacy to rise up? So like
took that documentary that came out about him.
Yeah, and like you know, like people like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko like definitely are not in the Bill Finger situation, but like you know, I'm curious it would be nice to have some like, oh, there were some rough patches. Like it would be cool to go into that, but with a Disney product, I'm sure it's going to be a nice game to watch.
Yeah, they're probably gonna put Stan in like the holiest of holy light, probably not even mention the skeletons. But
that's I don't need every documentary to go into every bad thing they've done.
Right.
But especially, like I'm just curious if I will find if there will be anything new for me to learn as someone who has seen a lot of Stan Lee material. I feel like we all have. We've all been in like the nerd circle for our entire lives, basically.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll feel differently about Hideo Kojima connecting worlds.
Do you guys know anything about Hideo Kojima?
Only for what you've told me.
Yeah.
Okay. He's an incredible man. This trailer goes harder than I even thought they would into like how much of an auteur he is. I was trying to think of like 1 second. Sorry, I'm super dry mouth. The filmmaker who I closely associate with him, and I hate to do this. I hate to reduce filmmakers of such stature into like you are like this guy, but like to help it to be relative to other people. He is the Japanese Quentin Tarantino. He is someone who loves film, who grew up with film, especially this is a Japanese man who grew up on Hollywood, like 70s and 80s crime cinema and stuff, and like Hong Kong action movies himself and all these different things. So like he pours a lot of love of movies and cinema into games years before other people were doing that. When people were still just trying to figure out how to make really cool games, he was like putting cinematics and like he's like it's the first game to have like voice acting of that caliber. Other games had voice acting, but a full voiced like movie in a game was Metal Gear Solid in 1999. He continues to push John forward. And he's just a really kooky dude too. It's like he's just a really fun guy to follow on Twitter. I highly recommend it. So to have a documentary come out is really cool because like they call him an auteur and all these things, and then you look at the games that he makes, and they are really important, and they say a lot about the world, but they're also really goofy stealth games. Where like you can slip on pigeon poo. If a pigeon like flies by and poops, you can slip on it and you'll go, whoa! And like there's like slapstick comedy and like hardcore drama. It's like Metal Gear Solid is such an interesting franchise. And it's really cool that like we're gonna get to explore some of that for people who are unfamiliar with it. Because they have to go into the games themselves because like he is an auteur for a reason, because it's like just like a David Lynch, like only one type of person can make this specific product. And then you're like, oh, it's absolutely, that's the guy who made that thing, of course. So this is cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one. Mac?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mac's in the chat saying I could either see him or Kubrick, but I can't to see it when it comes out.
Can't wait to see it.
Oh, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick. Yeah.
I'm actually really interested in watching this because it's it's a documentary about we get that when we get video game documentaries, a lot of times it's documentaries about major events in video games, or like the two big game documentaries I know of are of course Console War, which is the fight between Sega and Nintendo, Game Over, which underneath the whole we're gonna go out to Alamogordo and dig for the Atari stuff, there's actually a really good documentary about Atari in the 80s and how it rose to power and how they fell. So to see that this is about just one person whose name is actually very important in the world of video games, I say, yeah, I want to watch this. I want to know more about it, because all I know about Kojima is that he made the Metal Gear Solid games. He's been making games for years. His games are very different, and of course, after he left Konami, comes out, makes his own studio, which a lot of people say he should have done years ago.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be super fun because his Fallout with Konami is legendary. Because Metal Gear Solid 5, which is one of the greatest games ever made, one of the greatest stealth games at least, was so over budget. Because like this is a man who like he made Metal Gear Solid and that became one of the biggest games of all time. Then he made Metal Gear Solid 2, which was like the hype around that game was like unfathomable levels of hype. And then he made 3, which is arguably one of the greatest games of all time. And then he made 4, which is just like an insane like finale. And he's like, I'm done after 4. And then they gave him the world to make 5. And it still wasn't enough because those ideas were too big. And they cut the game off before it was finished. And they fired him. And the game got shipped out with a kind of an unfinished ending. And like that would ruin me as a creator if like my final swan song was like kind of tarnished. And that's still an incredible game anyway, like the ending, whatever. But like I hope they go into that because all that's really juicy and really spicy, and there's not a lot of like information we know about it because of legal stuff, a lot of legality that he's not allowed to talk about because he signed a bunch of NDAs and shit. So like I wonder if they're gonna be able to get into any of that, just any of that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Poor Things.
Oh, hey, you play a Frankensteinish monster, Ben.
I do. I totally do.
This movie is like that, but with acid involved.
Yeah, it's like that, but also it's weird. It's kind of whimsical in a way.
Yep.
It's like whimsical horror where it's kind of scary, but it's not like in your face horror. It's just weird. That's really all I can say about it. It's just weird, but it's not bad weird.
Have you seen either The Lobster or The Favorite?
No.
So I haven't seen The Lobster yet, but I really like The Favorite. It's very, very similar vibes, just vibage wise. As far as what I know from the trailer from The Lobster and what I've seen in The Favorite, it feels very much in a similar vibe, which makes sense.
So looking at his filmography, I didn't realize I've seen almost all of his movies. I will always love Yorgos Lanthimos because he's a fellow Greek man, and there aren't that many Greek directors big in Hollywood, especially making weird ass shit like this. I can't believe I saw I saw this movie called Dogtooth that came out in 2009. I can't believe I'm such a film nerd from this long ago. It is a Greek hardcore drama about this family just going through shit, just like they're isolated and just it gets worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, that was so long ago, and like now you're making cool shit with like Emma Stone, and like it's fantastic. I love it. This just looks like this, like he tried to make this movie in like 1920s. It looks like it came out in the 1920s, but it came out today. Like it's got such a unique look to it. Like there's a lot of matte paintings happening, a lot of unique colors, almost like Technicolor happening. I don't know what the hell's happening with the Frankenstein stuff, but it just looks super interesting. Like giving like something life.
Defoe's daughter dies and he brings her back to life.
Yes, that seems to be the implication. Absolutely. Yeah. So like, and Defoe himself looks awesome. I love that crazy makeup design. Mark Ruffalo looks charming as hell. I love that guy. So like, this is like, I'm so glad that like, again, like the 13-foot tall movie show we talked about earlier. Like this looks just super unique. Yeah. Like this looks so cool. Like, yeah, it's going to throw a lot of people off, but like sometimes this has to come out to calibrate you. Like, oh no, this is too weird for me.
It's good because like you need something like this to come out into theaters, so we're not just getting the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, this
doesn't matter if this does the numbers that a blockbuster would do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to. It just needs to be there.
And this probably doesn't cost that much money either, because this dude makes great looking stuff on generally smaller budgets. So like. Yeah. Man, this looks really unique. I'm so excited it gets to exist.
Insidious: The Red Door.
Is this Bagul or is that the other one?
That's Sinister.
That's Sinister. Okay. This looks pretty good.
There's some pretty good scares. There's some pretty good scares in this one for me. Like the MRI machine, I think is incredible.
Oh, that definitely is my favorite. Definitely, I think I like the other trailers that we've seen better. But like this one still looks good. That kid grown up. Throwing me off.
It's weird, right?
Because like it's not his fault. Like that's what happens when you grow up. You look different. But I'm like, you're an Iron Man 3.
You were in Jurassic World.
You were. Oh my god! Yeah, I forgot.
The same hair, same hairstyle. Yeah. It's really interesting because like I didn't see Ty Simpkins grow up. I just saw him as a kid and then as a teenager. And like, what happened?
I wonder if he like actually took a break and then like I come back for Insidious 10 years later. Yeah,
maybe because he did The Whale. He was in The Whale.
Oh, sure. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this looks. I think this looks kind of cool. There's some good scares. I hope that's good because I want Patrick Wilson to get the win.
That's the thing. Like he is directing it, so like he has to have some love behind it, and like I just don't want to see him make a bad movie because I think it could really discourage someone to try again.
Well, I didn't know he was directing it.
Yeah, this is his directorial debut.
Nice.
He loves it.
Because then if this is good, then he can take over the Conjuring franchise from the bad guy. The guy who did The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh my god. Could you imagine that huge upgrade? That'd be so dope.
I can't believe James Wan watched The Curse of La Llorona and said, you can take over my franchise.
It couldn't have just been him. There had to be some shitty dude with money somewhere else.
I don't know, man. It sucks. Talk to Me. It doesn't look like it sucks, though.
Oh my gosh. I am so excited for this one, y'all.
Actually, me too. This looks radical.
I don't know if this is Australian or New Zealand or whatever, but like just immaculate gross vibes happening. The possession gone viral is such a cool like tagline. Whatever marketing person came up with that was great.
I still love the line that's in the first trailer. It's in this trailer, and it's like, "We'll grab you by the hand straight into hell."
Yes, yeah.
I think that's such a cool pull quote.
Yeah, so like if anyone hasn't seen the trailer, you should definitely watch the trailer. But it's like a group of friends who do like, I don't know, like weekly possession hangouts where they have this mannequin hand that they can touch and it opens a doorway to who knows where. And one specific person does it and they keep the doorway open way too long, and then bad shit starts happening. And the hand starts moving around and people start seeing their dead relatives, and it just looks like a bad time, and by that I mean a great time.
The trailer for this shows us a bit more about the filmmaking, and it looks so interesting. There's the one where the boy has the hand, and the camera's following him as he moves, as he like gets thrown from chair to chair. Made me feel a little bit like how Upgrade did the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Ben won't get that reference because he hasn't seen Upgrade yet.
Oh, that's okay.
I just realized, but yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that. I think that's really ingenious and really fun. This looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm into it. Good year for horror.
All right, we're going to talk about a couple of animated trailers now, starting with My Adventures with Superman.
This looks awesome. I'm surprised it's on Adult Swim because this definitely does not look like an Adult Swim show.
Well, Adult Swim had to take it because HBO Max canceled it.
That's right. God damn it, HBO Max. I mean, the show looks great.
I guess I assumed it would be more mature just because, but that makes sense. Like, where are they going to put it? So I guess not everything on Adult Swim has to be like gross out.
Well, Adult Swim also. It's weird that this time slot is midnight because that's the Unicorn Warriors show time slot. But Toonami just is going to extend another 4 hours and play like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Dexter's Laboratory. They also have Toonami on Adult Swim now. So Adult Swim is much more like all ages now.
Yeah, well, cool. with Toonami on Adult Swim kind of makes sense because then they can show like the uncut versions of like certain anime. Because I know there was like a cut version for Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
Evangelion too.
Yeah, Eva as well. But yeah, I mean, that aside, that whole thing aside, the show looks fantastic, to be perfectly honest.
This looks really great.
It looks very wholesome, and I'm really glad it's next day on Max because I'll definitely be watching this.
Yeah, Jack Quaid. We get a lot more of Jack Quaid's dialogue as Superman. I think he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like very like wholesome, like just like a good time.
Also, I just love the animation, like how the anime-esque style of it, and how like when Clark catches Lois, they both blush. It's like, oh, look at them, they're so cute. Jimmy Olsen looks fun, is awesome. Like when he slaps a sticker on, they get the birds a playing joke. I'm not gonna lie, his S is starting to grow on me. I wasn't a big fan of the design of Superman's S, but started to grow on me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how this looks, and I'm excited.
Yeah. It's been a while since we got a good, wholesome Superman cartoon.
It has been. The last thing we'll talk about is Skull Island, the powerhouse animated show set in the Monsterverse just before Godzilla and after Kong Skull Island. What do we think?
I wish I wanted to watch this more.
Me too.
Yeah.
And it's not that the animation is particularly bad or anything. It's good. It's just like what's happening on screen isn't very exciting to me. And like the big lobsters are cool, and like, Kong's cool and stuff. And
that's my issue with it. It looks so generic.
It just I'm not seeing anything new, anything,
Yeah. Because you talked about like the lobsters, the crocodiles. One of the things that I talked about when we saw the teaser is that Kong Skull Island has a really interesting way they went about the wildlife on Skull Island.
Bamboo spiders.
Yeah, being like flora fauna. They're both mammal and plant. So every creature we see is we can blend in. It's like supposed to be a god of its own domain. Now we're seeing a lot of powerhouse animated, because now they've done so much. Powerhouse animated generic monsters that you'd see in Castlevania or Blood of Zeus. I don't see any originality here that really gets me interested. And Kong's look looks so different than his Monsterverse look that it just is unrecognizable as the Monsterverse.
I also have to wonder if some of that is also like the script of like, it's just a lobster monster. Like the creativity also comes from like them not putting a lot of effort into the idea itself.
That's a good point.
Like I'm not like against this idea, but like again, like there's nothing new here. Like I would rather just watch Kong Skull Island again. Like I don't unless there's some like wild thing they're not showing about this show. Like I don't know what there is for me.
I am who I am, so I will watch it. But I wish that it made me interested in watching it.
And we all have that thing where like it's got me no matter what. We all have it.
Yeah. because I want more Skull Island. That's one of the things that I was bummed about Godzilla versus Kong. We won't get more Skull Island, but going back in time, it was interesting. Both Skull Island comics are really good. So it's kind of, so I'm like, okay, well, I want to go back to this Skull Island, and now we're going back, and I'm like, this doesn't look like the Skull Island that I wanted to go back to. Outside of the Skull Crawlers, which do look like Skull Crawlers.
That'll always be cool.
Yeah. Okay, shall we go into our main topic?
Roll into it.
Yeah, sorry, did my mic mute again?
Yeah,
No?
muted.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
muted
weird.
it muted for a little bit.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay, well, I almost had the background ready, but now I do. Here it is. Okay. So let's get right into it. We are talking about Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, the 7th Transformer film, live action film, I should say, 8th overall. We're going to be talking full spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, go away, check it out, come back, pause this, whatever you want to do to go see the movie, because we will be spoiling the ever-loving shit out of it. Now let's get right into it. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts is directed by Stephen Caple Jr., who did Creed 2, my favorite Creed film, actually, which is written by Joby Harold, who wrote Army of the Dead and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Also King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword. Ben, what's that King Arthur movie with, what's his name?
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. What's that movie? He did that movie. Darnell Mateer and Josh Peters, who are currently writing the Val Zod movie or show that Michael B. Jordan is working on.
Had a lot of writers on this one.
And Eric Hober and John Hober, the brothers, who wrote The Meg recently and Battleship, among others.
A lot of writers on this.
So those are the 5 writers on this movie.
Yeah, wow. Can't even tell.
So what do we think about this one? Ryan or Ben, who wants to go first?
Ben, I want to hear what you think, Mr. Beast Wars.
Well, I liked it. I want to say talking about it more, maybe starting to love it more. But the reason why I'm saying I'd like it outright is because, unfortunately, when I saw this movie with Brandon, I know this is going to come up. We had a horrible theater experience because there was some people behind us who would not shut up. And there was also a guy who was constantly clapping during the scenes that honestly didn't need to be half clapping. So
he was loving it.
No, that's fine.
He
We're happy.
was.
It's just that it was very distracting for the rest of us.
Yeah, I get you.
And
so real quickly, Grayson Live, because there's a pause there. Grayson Live, no need to answer on the stream, but I will. No, you do not need to see the other Transformers films outside of Bumblebee. And
even then, there's one
debatable.
line and you'll be fine. But Bumblebee's like the best one, so you should see it.
Yeah, Bumblebee is great. Go watch Bumblebee. Other than that, I still had a good time with this movie. I actually thought that the character development of Optimus Prime was pretty good. I thought that the action was really good. If I had any complaint, I was kind of bummed that there weren't any real Predacons, but the antagonists in the movie were still really good threats, and we still got nods to the Predacons in the badges, so there's hope that we can see them again. I actually really liked how the Beast Wars robots, well, even in Beast form, they were...
I'm going to actually cut you off because I want to get Ryan's initial thoughts because
sorry.
you're going into a lot of things that we should
I
definitely talk about. But Ryan, your initial thoughts are?
I liked it. I had a good time. I wish I liked it as much as Bumblebee. I don't think it's as strong as Bumblebee. I do think it has the strongest human protagonist of any Transformers movie. I love these characters.
Yeah.
I would love to continue to see these characters do more stuff. I was really drawn to them. I wish I liked it. This is gonna sound weird because this is a Transformers movie, but this is the one case where I wish I liked the Transformers more. I think the villains are cool, but they're there to do their job, so that's fine. All their personalities are. I have a Mirage here. I'm not the hugest Transformers fan, but I really like Mirage just because he's a cool F1 car and he's usually cool and spunky. And I actually like Mirage a lot in this movie. I found everyone else to be fine. Air Razor is that's Michelle Yeoh. Yep. There's no character there, y'all. Gorilla Prime is cool. He's not in the movie nearly enough, I think, but that's the whole plot thing. So like that's fine. Optimus, I'm gonna be honest, like this is a total me thing. I don't think anyone else forgets this. I don't really care for Optimus in this movie. I understand he's on a journey, he's on an arc to learn to love humans, but like, is this a prequel to Transformers or is it not? Like, he's also really bloodthirsty, but that's just something that Michael Bay did. Like, I just like my Transformers to be like a little less bloodthirsty, but that's just, again, a me thing. I don't know if it's necessarily a negative of the movie. I just thought like the script was pretty weak for the Transformers. A lot of Optimus lines are pretty weak to me. Also, Peter Cullen sounds like he's like 900 years old, and that's because he is, and that's not a bad thing. That's how he is. I wanted to like the Transformer stuff more. I thought the final battle was pretty weak, to be honest. It's really great. I like the human stuff though. If the human stuff wasn't as strong, I'd probably be weaker on a movie. But overall, I liked it.
So I loved this.
Hell yeah.
Bumblebee is the best, and it's not close. And even after watching Transformers: Rise of the Beast, it's not close. Bumblebee has a lot going for it. It's a much simpler story. It's not as focused on as many characters. It's just focused on the two. So there's a lot that Bumblebee is able to do because of how simple it is. This is far more complicated than that script. But I really had a good time. I really liked all the Transformers. That's not true. I really like most of the Transformers. Optimus, Prime, and Primal I like quite a bit. Because it does with Optimus's. Let's just start there. Let's start with Optimus's arc in this, because we've all kind of touched on it in our initial thoughts, but let's start there. So Optimus Prime, his arc in this movie is that he doesn't trust humans. He thinks that humans are very selfish, and he doesn't want to involve himself with them because he has put it on himself that they are trapped on Earth and they were never meant to be. So he's really regretful of it. And then the death of B is kind of what sets him over the edge. That's a very similar arc that he goes through in Transformers: Age of Extinction and The Last Night. And for me, I think probably I'm kind of with Ryan. I do prefer my Optimus Prime to be less bloodthirsty, but I think kind of recognizing this as a much more compelling version of what that shitty thing was, I actually really liked it. And that might be because I was pun intended primed for it.
Yeah, it is definitely that is a good point to bring up. It is a better version of that. And it is, again, like, it makes sense for the story. Like, this is a Prime, like, if you're meeting humans for the first time, like, you have no reason to trust them. It's if all this stuff, like, you're going through your own shit. I get it. I just didn't think the writing was very good for it. There's a lot of lines. I wish I remembered them. Again, I only got to see it today because I worked all week and today's my first day off. So like, I wish I could remember some of the lines, but I'm just like, it felt really generic. There's a lot of his lines felt really generic, and like Peter Cullen's really good at it. It's good stuff, but like, I remember Air Razor. One line specifically got me. She's like, "Oh, Scourge touched me, and he left a mark. I'll be okay." And I'm like, "I'll be okay." I'm like, okay. Anthony. I'm mixing the actor and the character's name. But Nolan Diaz, the character. I really like him a lot, man. I think he's really great. The stuff with his brother, very Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider. Really into it. I don't want to go into too many places. Sorry. No,
but there's actually two things that you brought up that I want to talk about, which is that I agree. I think Anthony Ramos is great as Noah Diaz. I think Elena doesn't get as much to do, but I also really like her.
She's great. Yeah.
So Ryan was absolutely correct. I think this is the most compelling human characters we've gotten so far.
Oh yeah.
Because they have their own agency, and what I found really refreshing is that their goal is different than the Autobots' goal, and we've never seen that before. We've never seen the two goals at odds before. So I was really excited. So I think they handled that pretty well, and which comes to a head when Prime like pleads with Noah, like, please don't, because if you do, we're stranded here forever.
That is a good scene. I do like that thing. Yeah.
But on the voice acting, I actually really like the voice acting of Air Razor. Personally, I like Michelle Yeoh, and Ron Perlman I think kills it as Optimus Primal. The only thing that I wish wasn't the case is that so many of the voices sound so similar. Unicron, Scourge, Primal, for example, all kind of have the same kind of deep resonant voice where I'm like,
gravelly.
This is a little samey. I kind of wish you did something different here.
I agree. I do like Ron Perlman. Like I don't know what he could have done to like make himself more Ron Perlman or whatever, but like I thought he was good. I didn't like if you would have told me that was somebody else, I'd also just believe you. If you like if I heard it was Ron Perlman, like, oh actually it was Hugo Weaving, I'd be like, oh sure, I believe that. Like, like I don't totally hear Ron Perlman all the way, but it was a good performance. Wheeljack, interesting choice.
Oh, I hate how they do Wheeljack so much.
I thought we were past doing this.
Me too. When they said Wheeljack, I was hoping to see like the head fins, classic Wheeljack, but guess not.
So his voice actor is a character called Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso.
Oh, sure, okay.
He's one of the soccer players, and I recognize them immediately. But I think one of the things that I appreciate about the new Transformers designs is that they're a little bit blockier. They're not as thin or metal as the Bay films.
So good.
But Wheeljack is so interesting because it's such a departure from his original design that I don't understand what the thought process was.
I don't know.
Because RC looks dead on.
Yeah.
She looks great, honestly. I thought RC looked excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I'm so glad we kept with the G1-ish designs. I think everybody, even though some of the designs like might be a little weird, I think like they just look so much better than the super intricate Bay design.
There's a scene where Optimus, who's now back to being a flat nose truck, as we saw in Bumblebee, he does a drift in the city they're in, and I was like, man, that's so much cooler than a long nose truck. I don't know what it is, but it just feels so much cooler.
I think there are so many great like moments in like, but I think my favorite like transformation is Stratosphere, the old robot plane.
Yeah,
because he transforms so slowly because he's so old, and you really get to see like you obviously see all the transformation stuff happening, but like it's so slow you see it all happening. It's like, damn, like these are some really good animators, man. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
He and all the characters like they all feel real enough. Like I was a little worried. I love Pete Davidson. He's a great comedian, but like he showed up in Fast X for a minute. I'm like, it's fine or whatever. Like I was a little worried about him being Mirage, but like actually I really like him.
He's my favorite Transformer.
Yeah, he brings the Pete Davidson energy, but there is like they do rein him in where like he's not like just saying the most nonsense stuff. Like he still gets to be a funny character, but have some pathos and some heart and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And what's really nice is that what's really nice about the Transformers, even the ones that don't get a lot of love, is they feel distinct. Mirage doesn't feel like Bumblebee or RC. They all feel very distinct characters, and that's. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Age of Extinction a lot because I watched it this week. But I don't even know the names of all the new Transformers in that film. I know Hound because it's John Goodman, and Ken Watanabe is one of them. But like, it doesn't matter what their names are because they're all just interchangeable, quoting one-liners and not actually talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool to like. I think Pete Davidson brings such an interesting and honestly good personality to Mirage, and he honestly steals the show because of it.
Yeah, I think I just love like the brother mentality and all the stuff with Chris. That's the younger brother's name, the sick brother.
Yeah.
The stuff with him and like, oh, yo, like your brother gave me the radio so we can all keep in touch, and like all the stuff has a great payoff at the end that I think is incredibly sweet. Like again, like that was like my biggest worry was Pete Davidson like stunt casting. I'm like, no, that dude actually he brought something. It was good.
Yeah.
Good.
So Mac has a comment. I'm a little curious which Maximals were in Air Razor Squad when they arrived Earth. So,
the real quick before you answer, when she said I'm the last one, I'm like, God damn it, we're not seeing anybody else.
So
no baboon.
That's what happened to me because I was looking at first off, what kind of ticks me off about that line is that we don't see any other Maximals in the beginning of the movie when we're on the Maximal planet, and so the implication is later in the movie that there were more Maximals on that arc that left, but we don't see them ever, and now they're just dead. Yeah. I really don't like that because it really limits you. Being like, are you just gonna? Is that supposed to be like, oh yeah, Rat Trap was in this movie?
So before she said that everyone's dead, I assumed they were all just still on the other planet, and like these are the ones who escaped, and they're just living in a really bad time, and we would come rescue them or something. Yeah. But no, they also came with us, but they just died off screen. I'm like, what? I wish you just didn't tell me that. You didn't have to tell me that, and the movie would have been totally the same.
You could have just been like, yeah, we lost track of Air Razor once.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, we had others, but we don't know what happened to them, and then that just leaves it open for the future to do whatever you want. Like you made it so finite for no reason.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my issues with the Maximals is I do really like seeing the Maximals.
Yeah.
But Cheetor and Rhinox are just kind of set dressing. and we never see we hardly see them in their robot forms. We mostly see them in their beast modes, which is fine. They look great. But
I will say I didn't go yeah for the double rollout moment. I did go yeah for the maximize moment. And see, I think that's why it's worth it, because if we saw the robot transformations early, that final scene wouldn't be a payoff, because like that maximize moment, and then you finally get to see what they all look like. I'm like, oh
yeah, the second one Ron Perlman says Cheetor Rhinox maximize, even like I was like, yeah,
what's it?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like, that's a really good point, Ryan. I didn't think about that. That moment is really good because we don't see them in their robot forms. It's in that case, I'll say it's kind of a bummer we don't get to really get a good look at Cheetor and Rhinox's robot designs, because they're only briefly seen in the fight.
I agree, and that's one thing where like I don't particularly love that last fight, just because the giant like drone of like end game enemies that we're fighting on like the barren wasteland. Like the only real color that happens in that fight is like when Bumblebee shows up, and that's also another problem I have with the movie is like fake killing Bumblebee. Like, you really think I'm gonna believe that you're gonna kill Bumblebee? And the other part about that is, because since we're already here, I cannot talk about it. I knew he wasn't dead the second this happened. That's fine, whatever. They keep dragging his dead body around everywhere they go, and they keep just dropping it like. You're just carrying him around like he's not dead. If he were actually dead, you would leave him behind or whatever, or you'd bury him. But he just had a movie, and we have other movies that we may or may not be setting up to, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't. Since we're talking about the stakes,
it's such a waste of time of the movie. It did not need to happen.
Since we're talking about the stakes, I agree 100% with Ryan. I don't think killing both Bumblebee and Mirage, fake killing both Bumblebee and Mirage, works to this movie's favor. And it sucks that the only Transformer we lose is Airazor. Like, how shitty must that be for Primal, knowing that both of Prime's Autobots came back, but Airazor didn't?
Yeah, we're both fine. Yeah, it's a bummer.
And that's such a bummer, because like part of this is selfish, because like I want you to cut that cord to the Bay films, is to keep Bumblebee dead, because we've had 6 movies with Bumblebee. He had his own movie. Kill him. And how bold would that be? Because it's a really sad moment.
It is, and this is the part where knowing how Hollywood works is like I couldn't just live in that moment, because like I knew it wasn't real. Like you cannot convince me just because I know how Hollywood works. The producers like, oh, this is a prequel to the Bay movie, so like you're not killing Bumblebee. And then there's the moment of like, oh, there's energy on rocks, so maybe if there's enough energy, he could come back to life. And like all that is just for a setup, so you can have a music sting of "Don't call it a comeback." That's all that's for. All that is so he can come onto the battlefield like Thor, which is a cool moment. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, it is a cool moment. And again, he is the color. He's the yellow driving through the gray, and I'm like, that's really good looking. I'm like, I wish he didn't have to be dead for half the movie for it.
Yeah, I wish that there were more stakes in the film. Specifically, I could buy you bring back Mirage. And I would be happy with that. I think killing both Airazor and Bumblebee makes for a more impactful film.
And I love the first, like the ending of Mirage, when I thought he was going to. I thought like, man, that sucks. Like, I actually really like this Transformer, but like this is a good ending. Like, he sacrificed himself for a brother. It taught our character like a lesson and stuff. Then also he didn't die, and I'm like, oh, well,
yeah,
it's a good moment and stuff.
But if we hadn't just gotten Bumblebee back, that moment would have been, oh no, we didn't get Bumblebee back yet. So that was Bumblebee comes back shortly after.
Because it's like a 1-2 punch. Yeah.
Yeah, because Bumblebee.
He's the moment after something bad happens where this is the good moment about to happen.
Yeah, because then Anthony Ramos gets the Mirage armor, which looks pretty cool, honestly.
The Spike Wikidata armor, that is pretty cool. He's little Iron Man, love it.
So I agree with Ryan. Ryan mentioned his favorite transformation in the movie. One of my favorite all time is when Optimus is saved by Primal and Noah Diaz. And you see him like his legs bent backwards, his torso spins around, and he's like, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that transformation.
Yeah. Let's see. RC is pretty cool. Again, like a lot of these guys are kind of like just in the movie and they're there to be cool, and they are cool. I do like the chase scene where she's with Wheeljack and like the missile goes through and he has to open his door for the missile. Like that's some good good action.
I know you said you didn't like the end fight scene, and I totally respect that. I really like all the action sequences in this one, and I liked how much there were, because I thought there's some really good Transformer action sequences in this movie for me. The fight on the highway with Scourge and Optimus is so cool.
Yeah.
And the fight at the end with Scourge and Optimus.
Oh yeah, I love all the individual fights. I think all those are pretty good. Like the fight at the museum, like when we first meet our villains and stuff. Like I think all that stuff's really cool. I really like, again, like there's not a lot of depth, but like I really like our villains. Like my favorite, I don't even remember. I think it's Nightwing. Is that with the pink flyer? I think it's Nightwing.
I think it's Nightscream.
Nightscream, whatever it is. I think she's just a bad bitch who likes to kill people, and I'm like, hell yeah, you look cool. She's got a great design.
I like Scourge a lot, actually, because I like this concept that this guy's just evil, but also he's desperate for Unicron's approval. He is. I love that he's genuinely a threat to our Transformers and scared of Unicron, because I think it did effectively create the stakes of like, oh, well, shit, if he's scared of Unicron, then Unicron's way, way, way worse. And we know that textually, but it gives kind of this context of the film.
I do really like. I think Unicron looks great. Like I think the opening, like I think his design, like that is just like they got that design great. That's perfect. I like that it didn't kill him, so there is still like a future where like there can be a giant.
He's got to be teleported into the center of the earth.
Yeah. Man, the producer's really gonna have a hard time explaining that one, I think.
Yep.
What if that really is the plot of the next movie? It's like we gotta teleport him, and it's like it's the core of the Earth now. Oh, I might be okay with it.
I don't know, man. I don't want that. I don't want you to limit this, because I want you to keep going.
It should have just been like a soft reboot. It's like, don't worry about it too much, kind of thing.
Yeah. I really like Unicron's design also, Ryan. I think he looks awesome. Part of me wishes he had transformed. There's no room for that in the movie, but I hope we see it someday.
Yeah. I'm actually really okay we only saw Unicron in planet form, because even in planet form, especially when he eats a planet for the first time, like in the
but it looks just like the animated movie too.
Exactly.
I thought it was cool.
Like seeing that CGI, just seeing that animated in that style or in modern ways, it's just like, yo, Unicron is a threat. Unicron is just like, goddamn, who would win the fight, Unicron or Galactus?
That's a good fight to watch.
I mean, obviously both.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say both are threats, but just seeing Unicron, seeing how huge he is, just seeing how big and how these giant pincers just like break into the planet. He's eating a planet. Like
the scale is effective.
The scale is like, damn.
So this is something. I remember this from the Transformers the movie. He basically has like a Silver Surfer. He has an emissary. Because that's what Megatron became Galvatron, right? Isn't that the whole thing? Okay, so like Scourge getting like super powerful. I like that idea that like, oh, he has like dark energy. I wish
they called it Energon.
Dark Energon, yeah. I was like, it's right there, guys. I like the final battle with Scourge and Optimus and I keep mixing their Anthony Ramos is Noah Diaz. It feels like, I guess it's the power of friendship and teamwork. I guess I'm fine with that answer, but like I thought this dude was supposed to be like unkillable, and then like Optimus very easily kills him. And I guess I totally don't have a problem with that. I just like they were shooting him earlier and like nothing was happening, and I'm like now they're just able to take him out. And I wish there could have been something like, oh, my connection to is losing something. I don't know.
There's a toy that has Optimus, that has this Optimus Beast Rise of the Beast Optimus, but his chest is open and we see the see the Matrix of Leadership. I kind of went into this movie thinking we would see, because it's designed like it would be from this movie. I thought we'd see the Matrix of Leadership, and that's how he beats Scourge, because there's power within the Matrix.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the case. I was a little surprised it's not, but I love it when Optimus gets the upper hand, because he like throws lava at Scourge and like just slicing. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just like his whole thing.
This belongs to a friend of mine.
That was, I love that bit. And also I just like how Scourge, he takes a trophy, he takes the emblems from every Transformer he kills. Yeah. And I just love how you see Decepticons, you see the Predacons, Maximals, Autobot, everyone. He does not care.
Who's Scourge? Isn't it
Scourge is a Terracon. He is Peter Dinklage.
Sorry, yeah, Peter Dinklage. Yeah, I think he's good. He's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was Peter.
Got a cool Phantom of the Transformers thing going on.
Yeah, I like the idea that it was a mask. I like that was cool.
Yeah, Yeah, because his
he's
face
a
was
really
all
cool villain, I
busted
think.
up. Also, I like how he must have betrayed his planet because Unicron does say you'll die with the rest of your planet, so he must have joined up with Unicron just to save himself.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like the scene where Noah gets the Mirage armor. I think that's really cool. And
I can go somewhere if you're struggling to find a point.
Yeah, go somewhere.
Okay, so
I'm gonna transform him silently while you.
I really like. I'm really happy that the Beast machines are in it. That the Maximals are in it. I'm really happy about that because I think they're really cool characters and I want to see more of them. I wish they were more explicit with where they came from, because there's two lines where he says, "I'm from your past and your future," where Razor says, "I'm from your past and your future." And then there's a line where Optimus Primal says, "I'm named after you, the legendary Cybertron warrior." Because so it's clearly in the movie that they're from the future and they went to the past, but it's not explicitly stated within the film, so it ends up just kind of being weirdly confusing lines.
Yeah. I would say
Ryan,
one of my neck.
I was just gonna agree with you. I think it's, you don't have to have like pre-notions of it, but like it is kind of a thing where like we are from the future and we came to the past. We only say it once. You just have to kind of remember that, and just like they don't do a good job of really explaining that, because like that is a heady ass concept. Like the MacGuffin. And like I didn't realize this was like I thought this was like, because I'm not super caught up on Beast War stuff, like the trans-dimensional space-time device,
a transwarp, a transwarp conduit.
What a MacGuffin! Holy shit! Like that is the most powerful. Not only could it go anywhere in space, anywhere in time. It's a TARDIS. They have a TARDIS in their hands, and this monkey man just has it in his backyard. And I'm like, that is the strongest MacGuffin. Why does anybody have this? That's crazy.
And even like Optimus says, like this went missing thousands of years ago. So like it creates this weird thing of like, well, I wish that they had just not even said like, here's the whole story of the Beast Wars, but just be like, we're from the future of Cybertron, and we came to Earth's past. Just that. But I think the only reason it's not explicitly stated is because they have to be on another planet in this time period for them to say that Unicron is a threat, because otherwise, if Unicron's in the future and they find them going to the past, there's no reason for Unicron to give a shit about where they went. Doing it like this way makes it so that Scourge has to come to Earth and find the transwarp key, and that would bring Unicron here. That's the only reason why they don't explicitly explain it, and I find that just kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Again, I don't particularly think the script is super hot. Again, like this MacGuffin thing, it's perfect for Beast Wars, because like, hey, we're just gonna use the thing, but like it's so ridiculous.
Optimus's hope to go home. This thing.
Yeah. I will say about the Beast Wars bit. I like how their designs are still very Cybertronian, alien, mechanically.
Oh, they got fur. Oh, it looks so good.
They do have fur, but you can still tell that they're aliens. Obviously, Optimus Primal is this giant alien. It's not like what's behind Ryan right now, which is like this is what they look like actual animals, and then they transform into robots. They are still, they are still animal characteristics, but you're tell they're robots.
I love the designs. Like I love that it's like seamless, like metal, like mesh fur, like just everywhere at all times. Like it doesn't make sense. Like how are you born? How does this it looks so cool.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a later season of the Beast Wars where some of the machines get transmetals, where they're like more shiny metallic designs, but they're still animals. Like Megatron is like now this metallic purple. He has like hover planes on his legs.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, but also toned down quite a bit, but still it's like, here's a robot ape.
I think I prefer, real quick, sorry, but I think I honestly, I understand like the original design. I think I prefer these designs where like they still look like they're robots. Like they don't just turn into basically like the animal versions. I like that you can still see the robot aspects of it.
And if they didn't, like Optimus Primal would be really small.
Yeah.
Because if he turned into like a real ape, he'd be like the size of
It's like
Optimus's
Megatron's
foot.
gun, but like boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. Mag is in the
Mag's
comment. Mag is in the comments. I'm hoping they bring in Nemesis Prime in the future, or the Unicron's other followers in Transformers Armada. So
That makes sense.
Mag, go watch Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom if you want that, because that's a pretty good season.
There you go. There you go.
Nemesis and Galvatron come from the future to fight their past selves.
That's pretty sweet.
Pretty cool. Cool. So, yeah, I agree. I like the Maximals designs in this one. It does suck, as Ben said, that there are no Predacons, unless you count Scorponok. But it's kind of. I'm glad they used Scourge. If you're not going to get to use Megatron, but it's kind of a bummer that the first time we see the Beast Machines, the Predacons aren't there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and like after reading our book club where because again, my memory Beast Force is gone. After reintroducing myself to Magmatron, the coolest freaking guy on the planet, he's 3 dinosaurs that turns into 1 robot. If we're never gonna see that guy, that makes me really sad. Because that dude, how do you make that work in live action? He's a chimera. He's a literal chimera transformer. Like, that's so dope. That's a shame.
Yeah.
So a couple of more notes I have here. The sound design in this movie I think is really good, as well as the music. I just want to say that I like the music a lot. They used Steve Jablonsky's score from the first Transformers.
I know it. Like, did Bumblebee do that?
No, Bumblebee didn't do that.
Okay, because I definitely noticed the na 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 na. I'm like, that's the Wiki. Where are you at?
Yeah, which I like that score, so I was happy to hear it.
That's good.
The sound design I think is really good. There's a lot of moments where this film really embraces the Transformers sound effect from G1. The what is it? What is it, Ben? You can do it better. Yeah, but not just that sound effect, because they do have that sound effect, but they have the metal clings in the same tones a lot of the time. When Optimus's mask is like ching 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 ching, and it's really cool that they've embraced that in a way that's really true, but also really unique. Because Bay didn't. Bay only used the sound effect within the transforming noise, and because they transformed for like days.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really cool. I'm really happy.
What was the name of the skinny robot thief in Transformers 1? He could turn pencil thin.
The pencil thin one. Isn't that the beads from Transformers 2?
No, I'm thinking of Transformers 1. It's like there's like
Frenzy.
Were the Endgame mindless drones remind you of Frenzy at all? Yeah. They kind of had similar. Okay, they felt like it was like the proto version of what Frenzy becomes. Okay,
there's
that's fun.
There's a little too much Bay in this movie. I think for the most part, this movie has a really interesting energy to it. It's really nice that this is the first film directed by a person of color. The first Transformers film directed by a person of color. It feels different. It feels like it has a different energy to it, which I like.
One thing that honestly I really, really appreciated is the diversity of it. Like being in not just 1994, but being with Latino and Black characters. Going to Peru, spending a lot of time in Peru, a beautiful place. It was like it was different than your average just like white people in a town. It looked different than your average Transformers movie, which was also really nice.
And the sound design for Unicron is really good. Like, because I don't know if you guys felt this, but in my theater both times I could feel his size coming into the screen. Like my chair was shaking. I thought that was cool.
Theater specifically, the most I felt a rumble. It's when Optimus Prime was walking close to the screen, and I felt the boo. And I'm like, oh, those are some hefty thumps.
Yeah. Now, I will say the sound design, when they turn the bass up, you definitely feel how big these machines are, and I love that part.
I wish I had the sound for this movie that I had for Spider-Verse.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. The Maximals I have in my note. I just wish we got more Maximals in this movie. There's a world where I think we can kind of split off and make a Beast Wars movie and a Transformers movie.
So that's my question. I don't know how well this movie will do, and I don't know if they want to do Transformers spin-offs when they're already kind of doing a side thing with the Bumblebee, like soft reboot thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the next movie, whether they're going to continue to do the X-Men First Class route of like, oh, this one's in like 1998. It's 4 more years in the future, right? Or is it going to be Transformers 6 or whatever? and it's in 2023. Because like I don't want that, even if it's a new director. Like I like this like almost nostalgic, like we're going into the past and see how the Transformers like built their way in society with us and stuff. And like especially with like the end of this movie where that goes, like it feels like they're going to lead more into that version than Transformers spin-off movies. You know what I mean?
I really like that the Transformers had been there for years, but at this point I thought that I really enjoyed that, and it felt like they had, not that they were just put in stasis for a couple of years until the next movie.
Question. The Dinobots are just sleeping somewhere when this is happening, right?
No, the Dinobots, because I just watched this movie.
No, please explain, because I don't remember.
The Dinobots are currently probably with Lockdown on his ship out in deep space.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Before he comes to Earth, because Lockdown had taken the Dinobots.
I forgot they're tied together. On Cybertron, right?
Yeah, I don't like that there's still someone who wants to connect it to the Bay films, because I want Megatron. I want the Dinobots. I want you to do it right this time. And so far, in my opinion, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
And you weren't even that with the Bay films.
Sure.
So like I really want to see this continue. I see the path of doing Transformers and then doing Beast Wars at the same time, because we get more Beast Wars. Should we talk about the ending?
That's why I'm more like, as long as we get more of the Beast Wars stuff. Like again, they kind of cap themselves by saying everyone else is dead, but they could also just retcon that, and like who really cares? Because like I know
want T-Rex Megatron.
Exactly, like we just want more of it. So like I forget you ever wrote that.
I not only want T-Rex Megatron, I want Dinobot.
Yeah,
Dinobot's great.
I want Dinobot as a Maximal. That's what I want.
And the Dinobots. I want Dinobot and the Dinobots.
How? Oh,
we want it all.
So the end of this film sets up what I thought was Sector 7.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Because Bumblebee says that Sector 7 is still in this world. They want to connect it. Okay, this is Sector 7. It is the most unhinged thing to just be like, nah, G.I. Joe.
And here's the thing about it. It's incredibly like subtle. It's not big explosion. It's not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kicking in the door. It's time to join the Joes. It's like, hey, what's up, man? I heard you deal with aliens. Go check out over here.
That's cool. Hey, here's my card. And it telegraphs it just before. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
It telegraphs it just before, because the plaque that he moves says "Real American Hero" on it.
Yeah, that's when I knew. And I'm like, is that just are we having fun here? And it's still going to be Sector 7. And then the car, he's like, oh, it's G.I. Joe. And it's like, it's just like so like nonchalant. And I'm like, synergy. It's so funny. It's so weird.
They've been trying to do a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie for a really long time. They are practically in the same universe no matter what now.
Yep.
And the fact that they were like, nah, that we're gonna tease a G.I. Joe crossover. I mean, look, that might be the only way to make a good G.I. Joe movie. Who knows? But it's
real quick. I think both of those movies are a lot of fun.
Well, that's fair. But it's such a wild, and quite frankly, I believe it's like the most unhinged ending, because it's so out of left field, and it's so bold, and it's so pompous, and it's so interesting. And I'm like, I want it. Actually, I want it for you. I want you to be able to do this finally.
Yeah. And the really cool thing is that, again, this takes place in like 1994. So like, if you would have just told me that Sector 7 is G.I. Joe, I'm like, okay, that lines up, whatever. But like, they're not nearly as cool as G.I. Joe. This reminds me of like Evangelion 2.0, where it's like, this is where you think Sector 7 would come in, but now instead it's G.I. Joe, and this is the branching timeline. So now we will get new stuff, and we don't have to worry about the past. And I'm like,
and it's got to be a branching timeline, because G.I. Joe's not in the Bay films.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like, unless G.I. Joe's gonna die in the 13 years before Transformers comes out from 94 to 2007, which I don't think is gonna happen. So like, I think they're quietly. I think the producer's just doing his producing thing, like, oh, they're connected. It's, a brand synergy. But I think once you do this G.I. Joe thing and you realize you cannot connect these movies, he's going to back off and like, no, this is the future of the Transformers and G.I. Joe franchise, not the past. And like,
he better, because if he does, that brings a lot more characters are on the table, because he won't let Megatron be used because he's on ice in this moment. But RC's in 2, so he kind of slipped up. RC is in Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah, I think I think after, man, again, having Unicron be like one of your villains in this is already really incredibly weird because like they got to put that dude in our Earth. He's got to be in the Earth, and I don't know how that's possible. So like, I do hope and think that they will just back off because like you'll just make more money if you don't care about it. If you just tell a fun story, just have Megatron be there. Who cares? Let him be a dinosaur. Like,
not only that, have Megatron be there and work with Cobra Commander.
So funny.
Yes.
Look,
yes.
Look,
he holds the gun that Megatron becomes.
Not only that, because
and they're both voiced by Frank Welker.
Yes.
Hell yeah. No, because the G.I. Joe and Transformers, they've cited
the comics cross them over all the time.
Yeah, comics cross them over all the time. There's like this really cool Decepticon Cobra logo that I think is really rad.
Yep.
I honestly, you cannot give me if you drop that subtle G.I. Joe bit. You have to. I feel like now you have to give me a G.I. Joe Transformers movie, or at least you have to do something with that because now it's just like that's in my brain. That's what I want now. I want G.I. Joe crossing Transformers, and I actually agree with Brandon where you can take away the Beast Machines and have their own separate Beast Wars movie and just call it Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Just call it what the original cartoon was: Beast Wars Transformers. Bring in T-Rex Megatron, bring in all the other Predacons, bring the war to Earth, but just have it out somewhere, maybe very minimal human characters again, but because I will agree.
Because you could set up real quickly, Ben, you could set up, because they do kind of set up the idea that you can split, go either way at the end of this film by keeping the Maximals in Peru. You can have it be like, oh, the Predacons are on Earth now, the Maximals got to fight them, and then you got the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, and then you got the big crossover with the two Megatrons team up and they fight.
Yeah.
See, that's actually brilliant. That's brilliant.
Pay me. I got your franchise.
Paramount, call me. Hasbro, call us.
There are so many interesting ways that this can go. And I'm just curious if they're just going to take like the lamest way and they're not going to do a crossover. And this was just a soft launch of like G.I. Joe starring this guy coming out in 2025. And there's no relation, but it's just in the same universe until the next one. I'm like, no, just start hard. Get people to want to see a G.I. Joe movie. Put Megatron in it. Put a dinosaur robot in that movie where he has to fight.
As Ben has said, we have seen Megatron and Cobra Commander, but we have never seen both Megatrons and Cobra Commander.
That's true. Not only that, have like the first trailer be the Cobra Commander and announcing to his troops and how he has a new ally, and Megatron walks out with the Cobra.
Oh,
with the Cobra
no, but like
Decepticon logo on his chest.
How excellent! I'm sorry. How excellent would this be? The first movie, the trailer is like Cobra Commander's got a new tank, and it's like it's a great tank. We're like, oh, interesting. And then we watch the movie, and then we don't see it in the trailer. But when we watch the movie, that tank turns into Megatron. You're like, oh my god, it's a Transformers movie. They did it.
Unless Robert Kirkman leaks it to the press that Transformers are in it.
Yeah, I'm kind of really interested to see where that goes.
It got me more excited than not. I think also that actor, I forget his name, but he's a great character actor. He shows up in so many things. He's like a perfect dude. Like, I'm a dude in a suit doing my thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Okay. Let's.
Real quick, sorry. I've like I said before, like I've never really cared about G.I. Joes in my life. So like this is probably the most excited I've ever been, just because it's tied to Transformers. Just so everyone knows. Like I'm not going to become a G.I. Joe stan overnight or anything. That ain't happening.
Tomorrow you're gonna be like, guys, I love G. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I read all the comics.
This is just a quick note. This is the first time that the Transformers talk in their vehicle modes. They never do in the Bay films or in Bumblebee, unless you count the radio.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that they do, and I thought that was cool.
It's cute that like Bumblebee, you gotta stop going to those drive-ins.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that's pretty cute.
Yeah, I really like Pete Davidson. I already said that. I just want to kind of like bat that in. I think he's great in this movie.
I'm really. I think they got a really good human story, and like if like I don't necessarily need 5 writers on the next Transformers movie, but like whoever had this core story of the family stuff, like maybe get them back. Whoever Toby, maybe if you're the guy. I didn't care for Obi-Wan too much, but like you know you did some good family stuff here. I like it.
Yeah, I mean also like Obi-Wan. He was the movie. He was the guy who wrote the movie, so they used the script for the show.
Oh, okay, sure, that makes sense.
So maybe that movie was better.
Yeah, the core of it. Yeah.
Maggie's in the comments saying would love if they did Loch Ness or Bigfoot as Maximals in future
Oh my God.
Transformers movies.
Loch Ness is the plesiosaur of Magmatron.
Yeah, I like the banter between Optimus and Primal. I like the final battle. I really like the save. I really like this movie. I had a really good time.
I had a better time. I was a little worried about it, but I had a better time than I thought.
Yeah, okay. I guess I don't really have much more to add. So should we rate it?
Yeah.
Rate them.
Right. Ben, why don't you go first?
Because of my theater experience, I'm probably gonna give it a 7.5. I still think the movie was good. Had I had a better experience to get up, it would probably raise the bar. After talking with Brandon after the film, I realized, oh no, this movie is it. There are some issues with the movie, but all in all, I still enjoy it. I'll still definitely watch this again when it comes out on Paramount Plus. I had a good time. The action scenes are good. I could just use a little bit more Maximals, but other than that, I would say solid. And for once, I love the human characters in this movie. They are awesome.
I want to say I really like Haley Steinfeld in Bumblebee. I just think Ramos was better.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think she's great. I just think like I need to rewatch Bumblebee because I don't remember. Like I know she has agency as well, but I just feel like the humans they did a lot of shit in this movie and they weren't just totally tied and reliant on the humans.
It's because it feels so fresh because they have a different goal than the Autobots. That's what I think anyway. I think it puts a light on them because they are not antagonists, but they are not aligned.
Yeah.
And that creates the through line of I forgot that we're supposed to fight till all are one.
That's true. That's a good callback too at the end. All are one. Yeah.
Ryan, what would you rate it?
I will also rate it 7.5. I think it's awesome. I don't think it's awesome. I just gave it a 7.5. I think it's pretty good. I do have a lot of flaws with it, but the core of it's really strong. I could see myself watching this again. I think if that final battle were just remove a lot of those robots and just have it be more like one-on-one fights. I know this is an awful comparison, but the ending of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the second Mortal Kombat movie, where the final battle, it's just a lot of one-on-ones with everyone's nemesis of the movie. Mm-hmm. I wish it kind of just ended like that. But overall, I think it's a really good Transformers movie. It's a really great human Transformers movie, which I didn't think I wanted as much until I finally got it.
So for me personally, I really like this movie. I think this movie is awesome. I had a great time. I thought it's funny. I really like the action. Even the final battle. I don't think so. I would give it. I think it's a solid 8 for me. But my enjoyment of it is going to bump it to an 8.5.
Hell yeah.
So it is my second favorite Transformers film by far. I have soured on the first Transformers film a little bit more, but Dark of the Moon I still like. Yeah. So I understand that the pickings are slim, but this and Bumblebee, I think are the 1-2 punch, just some really good Transformers movies.
I agree. This is there are low 7s and high. This is a high 7. This is almost there's a lot of really great stuff in this movie. Again, it's killing Bumblebee for no reason. It's I don't know why we did that.
Okay, so that's 8.5. Shall we go into our book club then?
Yes, we shall.
Okay, so it is Ben's turn for the book club. Ben, why don't you take it away?
I most certainly will. So my book club, since we're talking about Transformers Rise of the Beast with the Beast Wars, I figured let's read a Beast Wars comic because I had never read a Beast Wars comic before. And I picked the Beast Wars The Gathering, which is written by Don Figueroa and drawn by Simon Furman. This was published by IDW. I don't know what year it was published in, but it was definitely back in the
2006.
There we go. And what did you guys think of this one? I must say, because this is one of those ones I just threw a dart. I just looked up a Beast Wars book that was complete. It was only 4 issues. I'm like, oh, this will be a quick, easy read. At first, I didn't think I was going to like it, but the more I read into it, the more I enjoyed it. I want to know what you guys think.
No, I'm with you. I think the first issue, it has to do a lot because one, it has to set up the entire world of the Beast Wars, but also for unfamiliar people for the show, it has to set all that up. So it has to set up the show, the plot, all these new characters, all this stuff. And I think it's juggling a lot, and I think it's a little obtuse at the beginning. But once issue 2 happens, once like all the big heroes are like unfrozen and stuff at the end of issue 1, it starts to really come together. I had a really good time by the end of it. I don't think it's like anything super incredible, but like I think it's got really fun art. Over time I got to really like appreciate like some of the character stuff. Like again, like Magmatron, like he's just like another like evil Megatron guy, but like his design is so cool. I did not remember this 3-in-1 dinosaur man. And I just thought
that's because he is from Japan. He actually has never been in the show.
Well, there you go. I didn't know who he was. Also, here's a picture of a giant baboon ass. That's from a comic book, everybody. Really excited to see that. I thought that was really funny.
So it's really funny right now. Real quickly, Ryan, your screen, we can still hear you fine, but your screen has frozen on that baboon ass.
Dang, because I got another great panel for you. Here's a dog farting an explosion.
Okay, now we can see this.
Look at this. It's a dog farting an explosion. That's a great one. I really like the art. There's just a couple funny ones. It's a good 4-issue Beast War. I'm glad I read it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I think this comic does two things to alienate me, which is assume that you have intimate knowledge with Beast Wars,
yes,
and introduce way too many new characters.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And it was very hard to follow because of that. Because I read after on like Transformerspedia, whatever it was called, Teletran 1, I think, where it's like, oh, this is set during season 3, and like they're talking about like, oh, the chronal, we're here a nanosecond before them, so they can't see us. And I'm like, you're not even giving me the characters I'm aware of. You're introducing this new part of an existing canon.
Brandon, hold on. Actually, Brandon, the term is chronically displaced.
Yeah, okay.
There's a whole monologue about why this nonsense is happening.
And like, I just don't understand. Like, so like it's set in the future of the future Transformers, and they go to a certain point of the past. Like Transformers Beast Wars is already a kind of complicated show because of its time travel thing, but this kind of made it a lot worse.
Yeah,
it is trying to be a season within a season of an already complicated thing, where it's like we have to not complicate the past or the future of the show that we're trying to tell a story in, but because we're dealing with time travel and nonsense, it's going to make it complicated. So like I 100% agree with you. It did take me a while to like get into the groove of it. Again, like I don't think this is the greatest thing ever, but once I was able to like allocate myself to it, I kind of just focused on the characters that I really like, and I think the action is pretty good.
I do think some of the designs are good. There's Torka.
I've never seen that dude. It's like a walking orca with tusks.
Yeah, he's cool.
Coolest thing ever.
And Grimlock isn't like the real Grimlock is in this, but as a real dinosaur.
Sure, whatever. Yeah,
and like that's kind of the thing. I'm so sorry, Ben. I'll be done after this. But like that's the thing. Like Grimlock shows up, like the real Grimlock shows up, and it's because there's Torka on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And it's because he had reverted into another protoform, which is what those stasis pods have, that they're stamping Predacon or Maximal. He had been turned into a protoform and was reborn as a Maximal thousands of years in his future when he was an Autobot. And I'm like, this is a lot, guys.
Yeah. I bet if you are a like hardcore Beast Wars guy, like this comic is perfect for you. I definitely had some of those problems. And again, the chronal skipping stuff is really funny because like it's just like an excuse for like we can't interfere with any of the things that are happening. Like even though that would be cool, just really weird. I will give it credit for like going bonkers. Like this is a big sci-fi, like hardcore sci-fi story with like a lot of techno nonsense happening, a lot of Transformer shit. Like it is not a lazy comic by any means, right? It might be just too much for anyone trying to get hey, what's Beast Wars about? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's throwing at you.
I will say when I first started reading this, I was also very confused because I thought I was going to be reading a story about the Maximals and Predacons. I mean, I did, but the Tripredacus Council and the Maximal Imperium. I'm like, what does happen? And also the fact that they're back on Cybertron. I'm like, what? I was extremely confused.
So Ben, they're on Cybertron because Beast Machines, the sequel to Beast Wars, takes place on Cybertron.
Okay.
So that was a show, but this is also set 1,000 years in that future where they're now at peace, the Maximals and the Predacons, but Magmatron doesn't want to be at peace, so he goes back in time because of the Tri-Preda whatever council to steal Megatron for a crime that he did, which doesn't make sense if you're trying not to screw up the timeline. Why are you taking Megatron?
And then Razor Beast was sent by the good guys to infiltrate the bad guys to stop all this from happening. And it took me a while to realize everything happening until Razor Beast was like, "I'm the," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure, yeah." The ending is so funny. And this is, I don't remember who this character is, but he's like, "Oh, nothing, Prowl. I was just thinking somewhere out there, the Beast Wars are happening."
And Prowl, who is also a Decepticon, reincarnated as a Predacon, because he was on the Alaxis or whatever the spaceship was that took the Maximals to Earth.
Good design.
Which it's a lot. It's a lot. I can. This plot is a lot, and quite frankly, it's too much.
Yeah, I mean, the more I started reading it, the more I started to connect the dots a little bit. I was able to somewhat enjoy the story that was being presented to me, which is Razorback trying to build a militia of Maximals to fight against this other militia of Predacons, because it's a war going on underneath the main war that we know of. I mean, it's a decent story, but yeah, I do, because my knowledge of Beast Wars really only stems from the 90s show, and once again, I haven't seen that show in eons. I tried watching the first few episodes when I found it on Netflix one day. I could not get through 2 episodes because yikes.
Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at him. That is I mean, as much as I have a fondness for the time, it is definitely not a type of animation I want to go back to. But other than
rough animation to watch for a while.
Yeah, definitely. But I did like the robot designs, because one of the cool things about Beast Wars, even in the toys and in the cartoon, was how they incorporate animal elements into the robot. How they're not blocky and robotic like the Transformers are.
Mostly just their face.
Yeah, or their jaw, or whatever.
What's
but they're
iguana one.
Iguanas.
I don't know if he was real, but I might have had an iguanas.
I think a lot of these are made up for the comic.
Okay, I had so many Transformers. Oh my god.
My brother and I had 2 toys that show up in this comic. It was the polar bear. We had the polar bear.
That turns into an owl?
Well, no. I don't know why it turned into
an owl. No, that's a different polar bear.
Why is that a druid?
That's a mutant. That's a mutant. That is from the show.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you, what's else going on with the mutants? I don't know anything about that.
So there's mutants, and then there's fusors, which is a maximal or a predacon that can be 2 animals.
Oh yeah. I remember.
And then there's the mutants who are like messed up.
Because like that dude is an owl, and then he looks back and he turns into a bear, and I'm like, is this D&D?
Because in the original show, and this is kind of explained in the comic, they arrived on like proto forms, and then they were stamped with the personality in the spark, and that was kind of messed up when they all crashed. So that's why there's a few like mutants and fusors and things like that.
The damn trans warp drive is in this comic too.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
that's the Transformer. Yeah. That's how Transformers get around.
No, I know. It's just space and time. Pick a lane.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a fun time. I didn't hate reading it, I will say.
Yeah.
Ryan talked about the art. I want to talk about the art real quick. As I do like the art, I think the character designs are really interesting. I just think it's really compressed. There's a lot of character designs, and this kind of goes like there's a lot of new characters, and it can kind of Optimus Minus. Is that the chimp? Minor Optimus Minor. That's funny.
What a goofy little guy.
And so like there's the there's a lot of Transformers in the page at one time, and I think you could have spread it out, made it a little bit more widescreen, and had some of these character designs breathe.
There are some splash pages that have just like dozens of characters, and I'm like, man, this dude went so hard. Like, because like it's like drawing superheroes is one thing, and like I know that's really hard too, but like all the different paneling and all the different Transformers and transforming them, I'm like, man, this must have taken forever to draw.
Yeah. I wish I liked it more. There's another Beast Wars. There's another Beast Wars comic that I'm just going to try to read. It's the most recent one.
I'll tell you what, this made me watching this movie, because I've seen all the Transformers movies, obviously. Like, I have always loved Transformers as their source material, the toys. I think I maybe have more Transformers than like half the state of California. I've just never shown them. I have so many fucking Transformers. That's the first F word. That's the first F word. I've been able to keep it in for almost 3 hours. And like just those movies when 2007 re-unlocked that love. Because they're always at like Target or whatever. But like I have almost every Transformer from those 3 movies, the first 3, because that's when I kind of dropped off buying them. But I'm like, oh my god, I love Transformers because I love the toys. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're not always gonna be for me. Like Beast Wars is cool, but I'd rather just have. I looked up how much a Magmatron costs, guys. It's like $300 because I don't make them anymore. Because like they're all Japanese and they're all old, and I'm like, one day.
The Optimus Primal figure for this movie is actually from the animated show because they didn't get the movie design in time.
I definitely got a Primal. That's a cool guy. I think his design in the movie we didn't talk about super much. It's really cool. Yeah.
I really like the Maximals and the Predacons. Beast Wars is my Transformers, and I'm kind of bummed that they just introduced like 50 new characters instead of just using the Maximals and the Predacons.
It's because it's like again they're beholden like okay you can't do anything that the show's doing.
Yeah, that sucks.
Like, just have fun with it, maybe.
Yeah, but also to talk about Ryan's point, there are times I've gone to Frank and Sons and they have the newer toys for Transformers that you can't really find at Target. And I'm
hold on. Keep talking. Hold on.
Because I really want some of those toys. They're just like kind of expensive, but I do agree because I would love like a Starscream. I don't know why. I want a Starscream Optimus. Anytime I see a really cool Optimus. Oh,
so
hi,
I have
my friend Midge is in the chat.
Oh, hi. So I bought this at Comic-Con. I'm doing a little show and tell for the audio people. I bought this at Comic-Con. It is the first edition of Transformers Prime Optimus, and I'm gonna open it. I've opened it many times, but so it's Optimus's chest as a box, and then you open it, and it's the Matrix of Leadership with an Optimus Prime figure in this.
Oh, that's cool.
I remember seeing that years ago. Yeah.
I really like Transformers Prime. So like, I also have Zombie Dwayne Johnson, Cliff Jumper. Dwayne Johnson was Cliff Jumper in the show.
Dwayne Johnson.
Cliff Jumper was played by Dwayne Johnson in the first episode of Transformers Prime, and then he became a zombie. And so I have that figure, his zombie.
I remember
figure.
that. Cool, I remember that. Man, Transformers Prime was such a good show.
That is a good show. Apparently, Earthspark's pretty good.
I haven't seen Earthspark, but I do remember the show. I remember watching Transformers Prime on the Hub back when that was a network.
The Hub. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add about this comic? I forgot we weren't talking about the movie for a second.
No. I mean, if you're a diehard Beast Wars fan, this one's for you. I'm not a diehard Beast Wars fan, and my Beast Wars knowledge has deteriorated over the 25 plus years since I last watched it, but I still liked it, and honestly, I would be willing to give Beast Wars another go.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to get into more Beast Wars, and you have no knowledge at all, don't read this first. No. Either maybe read if there are other Beast Wars comics that are a little more family.
There's a new IDW. There's a new IDW Beast Wars comic that's set with it's the classic Beast Wars lineup.
Cool. Yeah, should maybe check that out first. Because I wouldn't say this is like a bad comic, but it's just not a very easy read if you're new to it.
Yeah. Okay. That's the show. Whoop. Ryan, it is your book club next week. Do you know what it is?
I thought I did.
Thought? You're looking? You don't know?
I thought I took a picture of something that I was thinking of, but I didn't. I'll tell you why. Because I'm gonna actually tell you what I was gonna pick, and then I decided not to. So next week is the Flash, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't gonna pick a Flash comic. I was gonna pick a Flash Thompson Venom comic because I want to keep doing this thing where I pick something that's associated with the name, but not pick it because I'm silly. But I didn't find a comic I really wanted to read, so I'm gonna pick something else. So we'll find out.
Do the what is it? The Batman '89 comic book that just came out.
Batman '89. Oh,
yeah, it's the one that was supposed to be the Batman Return sequel.
Oh yeah, that came out a while ago. Yeah, I did read that. That was fun.
I haven't read it yet.
I won't pick that.
Okay, so stay tuned for the social medias for what that book will be.
It'll be a banger.
All right, so that's it. So next week, guys, as Ryan said, we are talking about the Flash. Unfortunately.
That's not the Flash.
So we're going to be talking about the Flash, the end of the DCEU as we knew it. Also, next week, just in 15 minutes at the point of this recording, our 7th anniversary is here, and therefore a 7th anniversary special where we do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that will be up tomorrow. So stay tuned tomorrow morning. Mag, as always, later, gang. Take care and be safe. You too, sir.
Bye.
So again, happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah, happy anniversary, bro.
Longest commitment ever.
So, guys, check out plenty more. Hey, 7 years, 7 shows. No, we have 9 shows. Anyway, so check out all of our shows, such as my solo show that's only audio. It's Conversation. The latest episode, Cookie from Just Little Podcast, that is up now. Next episode coming this week will be Ken Knapsack talking about Indiana Jones. Great conversations, both. I can't wait for you to hear them all. Please check it out. Fake Nerds Watch. Fake Nerds Watch will be making a return because Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 is starting this week, baby.
What day?
Thursday.
How many episodes of Season 1?
10.
I'll have it done.
Okay. Ben, you too. Do it. Thank you for the show. Always enjoy the hang time. Have a great week. Grayson, you too, sir.
Goodbye, sir.
Yeah, so Star Trek Strange New Worlds will be coming out this week. I'm so excited. And Secret Invasion is next week.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready, boys. Fake Nerds Watch coming in hot.
If that show's not good, I'm going to be mad.
Me too.
You can't pretend to give me an Andor and then not give me an Andor.
Me 3.
Basement Arcade is our video game show. Plenty more Basement Arcade episodes coming. Basement Arcade pause menu, our video game discussion. So newest episode in the description below. Ben, that is with who again?
That is with Nick Munson or Manson. I don't know why my chicken scratch decided to write the second letter is either a U or an A. So if I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry, Nick. Nick M, as we have it in the episode description. Mm-hmm. He is the head of Monster Studios, which created the NES game Copper Jacket, which you can buy off his website right now.
Very cool. Of course, there's also Fake Nerd Book Club and Animation Station and the Real Score. All shows you can find on this channel, on this YouTube channel. If you like this video and you subscribe to this channel, please do. It helps us a lot. You can also check out our Patreon and our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. We greatly appreciate all the support you can give us no matter what. Website's still down. Stay tuned for an update. I think I might be having an update soon, so stay tuned for that. All the links you can find in the description below, by the way, for our Patreon, TeePublic and Patreon. You can also, sorry. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the live show, and thank you to everyone who watches the rewind. We greatly appreciate that support you give us. The fact that you want to watch us for near 3 hours, sometimes more, is insane to us. But we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci for all of our theme music that you heard here tonight and all the music you heard on all of our shows. You hear on all of our shows. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci _ Wreck of Time, or you can find his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, and at Suburban Proctologist Official. No, Subproc Podcast on Instagram, Suburban Proctologist Official on Facebook. Check it out. And of course, thank you to Mike Patola, wonderful collaborator of ours, did a couple of our logos. You can find him at Mike Patola on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Pod, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. Sorry, Fake Nerd Podcast. fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to touch us personally, I'm at BC McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CPR.com, AtomicGeekdom.com, and KaijuRamenMedia.com. New article on Kaiju Ramen Media, not written by me, written by our good friend Travis Alexander. It is a review of Shin Kamen Rider. Ben, where can people find you?
Wait, hold on a second. What? He saw Shin Kamen Rider.
It's out.
Oh. Wait.
Well,
I'll find it.
It had a well, yeah, you could probably find it, but it had like a day.
I didn't know it was out.
It had a Fathom event.
So hell yeah, that's so cool that it'll be in a Horizon soon. That's awesome.
Yeah. Ben, where can people find you?
You can find me saying way too late playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at BenMaga27, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You could also find me writing for Fusion Gaming Magazine, Old School Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, and playing Mary Frankenstein on Dean Dark. New episodes out Wednesdays.
Ryan, where can people find you?
You can find me what does he say?
Maximize.
You could find me maximizing my way to 21 hearts in Zelda because I think I'm at 20 now. I'm about to get that second row. Ben, it takes I think it's 20 hearts before you get the second row. It's got 20 hearts, 2 full stamina bars, like 67 shrines at DJ Tony Snark 616.
And of course, you can find our absent friend Sparks Witty at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter. Until guys, make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher. What is that?
Wiki Spark Plugs.
Oh, yay!
That's him.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcast, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. And until next time we see us, guys, stay fake nerds.